doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come.
Has an established relationship with PGA of America, partnering with the organization on golf tournaments and special events, including the PGA Works Collegiate Championship. Kohler Chair and CEO David Kohler says the student athletes that participate in the tournament come from all walks of life.
These are incredible student athletes. I mean, just to play at this level of golf is one thing, but they're also, great students. They're ambitious about their future career that could be in the game of golf. It could be a professional golfer. It could be in the golf industry.
Kohler also gives back to the community. It provides a grant to the PGA Works HBCU Golf Scholarship Endowment as part of an effort to help get more young people from diverse backgrounds access to the sport. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies to same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect that of the staff and management of Good Karma Brands, but are the sole responsibility of the hosts and guests of this particular show.
America may have many, many days, but they will be full of trouble. There will be no rest. There will be no tranquility in this country until the nation comes to terms with our problems.
Bringing you social and political commentary from his mouth to your ears, breaking down the issues which matter to you.
You are not put here to be a white man's footstool. You are put here to represent the very best in God's word.
Legendary civil rights icon, the Reverend Jesse Jackson in the studio. Reverend Jackson, how are you?
Mr. Sherwin, good morning on this chilly Milwaukee morning.
And I am pleased to have one of the founding members of the Black Panther Party, Chairman Bobby Seale. Mr. Chairman, how are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing just fine. Thank you.
To Mr. Eric Holder. Mr. Holder, so good to see you. How are you?
Well, I'm fine, man. How you been? It's been a long time. Haven't seen you for a while.
The Dr. Cornell West. Dr. West, how are you, sir?
My dear brother, you're so kind, you're so generous, though, man. But I salute you and the work that you were doing there. Doing a magnificent job there in Wisconsin.
Stream live on 1017thetruth.com. Call in with your questions or comments. 833-212-1017. Join us on social media at 1017thetruth. It may not be what you expect to hear, but I will definitely give you what you need to know. Are you ready for the truth?
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Now, live from the American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, here is Sherwin Hughes.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. As I was scanning the headlines this morning, I'm noticing something, and it's a trend that is going to continue, and it's going to continue because it's predictable in Milwaukee, and maybe it's predictable in other urban cities where you have social conflict, and we do have social conflict in Milwaukee. People that have a lot versus people that don't, and the political differences between the two, and then, of course, the Trump administration and their viewpoint of how big blue cities should be run. So you got the social conflict that's going on. And so Milwaukee has a crime problem. In the grandest of grandest schemes of things, not really, but it feels like we have a crime problem because whenever you hear about a homicide or a shooting, it feels like it's going to happen to you or it's happening all of the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And when you start to feel that way, because as it gets warmer, and, you know, Milwaukee is going to do Milwaukee things. We're going to hear about more and more shootings, some fatal, some non-fatal. homicides, etc., domestic violence incidents, because it's part and parcel for summertime in the city of Milwaukee. Just most days when you're just going through the routine of your life, statistically, you probably won't get killed. And depending upon where you live and where you go and what you do, what your day-to-day is like, you may not hear a single gunshot. So keep that in mind while you're reading these headlines that say 3 or 4 or 5 people got shot. We're also a city of 600,000 people, and I hate to sound callous, but someone's going to get shot because we probably have 1 million guns in this city. So I don't want people to wallow in despair about the violence that is likely going to be reported on a daily basis as the weather gets warm. And there's a whole bunch of incidents that have taken place over the last 72 hours that I'm not going to detail them specifically because when I was young in my radio career, every day I was, 2 people were shot, 3 people were shot. That then becomes all that you talk about if that is where your focus is. Then I could do like the counterpoint to say, we have all of these violence prevention organizations and a violence prevention nonprofit, and we have people that are doing this kind of work and they're doing great work. I have my feelings about that too. First, let me say I have a lot of respect for people that are interrupters, that are mediators, that are right there on the street looking for conflict and also looking for ways to remedy it, because I don't know if we see it this way. Sometimes those folks, those violence interrupters, they're there before the police are. And there are some members of our community, and I want to highlight this now, that respect the violence interrupters more than they respect the police, and they'll actually call them first. I appreciate that. I couldn't even tell you how many situations that could have turned deadly did not, because we have people that are on the street with relationships with folks in neighborhoods most of us wouldn't even want to drive through. And they are, in fact, preventing some of these individual acts of violence just by getting people to separate or getting someone to, see the consequences of their actions. And that happens every single day. The reason why I don't give those people more coverage is they're not remedying the problem. If there are unhoused people, apparently we can't say homeless anymore, so I won't say homeless, because homeless is a bad word. We say unhoused. Interesting semantics, because calling a black person colored is terrible. But if you call them a person of color, that's fine. I never understand some of these semantics of how we just change terms and make them more politically correct. But if you have unhoused people, and there are wonderful organizations that raise money for the unhoused, and you feed them. And apparently homeless people, unhoused people, they need socks. That's like their most requested item. So you have organizations, you have wonderful people. I mean, these are saintly people. If you go to work every single day to try and make the lives of unhoused people just a little bit better, you're a nice person. But then also at the end of the day, you go home to your house, which bit of a contrast there. But the reason why I don't cover those organizations like I probably should, and there's a bunch of them, really great people. They're honest, decent people. All the funding that they get, like 90% of it goes to their mission of helping the unhoused people. But it's not fixing homelessness. That's why it's difficult for me to highlight something that is just providing comfort to a desperate situation. Feeding a homeless person today, tomorrow, through the weekend, that's great. But we are not remedying the situation that has this individual unhoused in the first place. I love the violence interrupters and the people that can have conversations with folks that I wouldn't really have a lot in common with. I couldn't talk somebody out of shooting somebody else. I highly doubt it. I'd end up getting shot, if anything. But this is where I give my colleague and my friend Tory Lowe a lot of respect and a lot of credit. I can't do what he does. I wouldn't even want to answer Tory's multiple phones so he's got 2 phones. You know you're important when you got 2 phones. One phone, probably the normal phone, where your friends call. where your cousin says he's in town for the weekend, or your mother tells you what's for dinner. That's the good phone. You like when that phone rings or when you get a message notification on the good phone. Then there's the bad phone. That's the phone number that you only give out to people who really will need it and people who are facing trauma and people that are in crisis. It's almost like this subsequent 911 number, and Tori has that phone. So when that phone rings, it's going to be a problem. I wouldn't even want to answer that phone because you know it's going to be something that could be potentially life or death. He and I had a chat the other day. I'm glad that we did because I got to see things from his perspective, which I often don't. Politically, I don't. But in this regard, I was able to understand more of his perspective. Helping an individual in crisis, whatever that is, could be a domestic violence situation, could be a child has run away or went missing, could be a bunch of different things, right? It's not remedying the problem of the trauma and the crisis. So helping people, and we got to help folks, but we spend a disproportionate amount of our time and our effort and our energy just providing a little bit more comfort, one person at a time, stopping this shooting one person at a time. And it's so ironic because there may be a situation where guns are drawn, a violence interrupter, maybe the folks from 414 Life, shout out to them. They're there on the scene and they talk these individuals down. So if it's me, and thank God it's not, if I'm arriving at the scene and the guns are already drawn, I'm like, well, not much I can do except get shot. But these are people that walk into the danger. A lot of respect for them. But they're not remedying the reason why two people are so angry with one another that they are willing to, A, take someone's life, B, spend the rest of their life in prison. The kind of misery the rest of their day must be like is unimaginable if it comes to that. Now, I've been mad at people before. Hell, I'm mad at several people right now. You know how I respond to people I'm mad at? I just don't call them back. That's it. That's it. Now, we need people that can interrupt and that can stop violence because all it's going to do is going to make a headline. The neighborhood in which the incident took place is going to be broadcast all over the news, further hurting the people that live in said neighborhood that had nothing to do with that shooting, had nothing to do with that armed robbery. So we need people that are well-versed in how to stop some of these violent incidents. And you may have saved a life if you're a violence interrupter. You may have saved a 17-year-old boy's life because he was going to get shot by another 17-year-old boy. So you save the 17-year-old boy's life. And here's the irony in that. The 17-year-old boy's life that was saved in what would have been a fatal shooting, he, the one that was saved, may go on to shoot somebody the next weekend. And it's just far too difficult to just continue on that cycle, that hamster wheel of talking about the shootings and the violence because we are unable or unwilling to try and get to the root of the problem. All right? Had to give that disclaimer. So as the weather gets warmer and you are going to hear about more violent incidents, I don't want people to despair. I want you to just look at your individual life, and chances are you didn't get shot, so be thankful of that. But then also, if you do hear about an incident, there may have been 10 or 20 or 30 others that very well may have been prevented. And a day in which these organizations that interrupt violence, and I'm not talking about the police, they're there to make an arrest or to shoot somebody else. Depends. But the days in which nothing happens, nothing, there's no shootings, no homicides, there's no armed robberies. I mean, a car or two will get stolen. But, I mean, if there's no one murdered or killed, that is those organizations bearing fruit. When we're bored, when there's no murderous, bloody headline, I want to make sure that those people get their flowers because boredom in this city, especially when the weather gets warm, is a luxury. Or if the loudest noise you hear is a lawnmower or the dribbling of a basketball. We have to consider that a luxury, and we should be counting those days in which we are bored and nothing happens. There is no murderous headline. Let's count those days like we count the days where there was another shooting, fatal, non-fatal, another homicide, etc. We also want our elected officials to play an outsized role in keeping our community safe. I've always been quite confused by that because you can't even tell a young parent how they're being a bad parent, but you think that same elected official is supposed to stop people from punching each other in the face. We don't listen to people who we put in leadership positions, and we put people in leadership positions so that we can listen to them. But then when they tell us what we should be doing, we tell them that they don't know what they're talking about, but at the same time, we blame them when somebody gets shot in the face. You cannot have it both ways. But also, I think we have gotten used to outsourcing our problems like it's somebody else's fault. The alderman needs to fix it, or the mayor needs to fix it. It's their problem. I talked about this yesterday. If we have intact families, there will be no social problems, or they'll be much more manageable, because we are pushing bad product. And when I say bad product, these are unloved children out into the world. And what on God's green earth do you think an unloved child is going to do when you push them out into a world that will love them even less? No elected official can fix that. Now, here's what they can do. Here's where I connect the dots. If a problem has been identified because you may have a need for more mediation and more conflict resolution, that is where some of those violence prevention, violence interrupting organizations can make a difference. Now, they're not fixing the problem. They're not remedying the problem of why people want to shoot each other. Not doing that, but they're stopping some of these individual incidents when they can, that allow the people in the city of Milwaukee to be bored because no one was shot that day. Elected officials can provide funding and carve out pieces of our city budget for said organizations. But again, that doesn't solve the problem. It just remedies it temporarily. Just like having taxpayer money go to nonprofits that feed the homeless. We're not remedying the unhoused problem. We're just providing a meal for people as many days as we can. That is what elected officials can do, because I'm going to get real tired real quick as the weather gets warmer and we hear more violent incidents. People not wanting to take responsibility for the role, however minor, they may have played in the violent incident, instead just blaming an elected official. It's not fair. But here's the other thing. The elected officials need to do more blaming of us, but they don't, because they're scared of you. They're scared of the voters. Very rarely will you hear an elected official say, yeah, my constituents are a bunch of idiots because they want me to fix stuff that is totally their fault, that is their doing. You'll never hear them say that. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for that. All right, got some stuff I want to discuss with you guys today, especially when it comes to men. Guys, it's us. We're the problem. Ladies, you were right. It is us. Men are the problem. But I want to delve a little bit deeper into that. And there's also some political implications when men are, in fact, the problem. We're going to have some elections in the year 2026 and then, of course, in the year 2028. Or maybe we don't have elections in 2028 because Donald Trump decides to cancel them. I want to take a look at where the Democratic Party made advances. Where did they pick up new voters, or where did they expand a demographic? Because wherever the Democrats expanded in 2024, even though they lost, that expansion may continue through the midterm elections of 2026 and may continue yet and still in the general elections and congressional elections in the year 2028. So I'm going to give you guys a bit of a demographic profile of where the Democrats are making gains, because we're going to need the Democrats to make more gains, because even if it isn't Trump, a Trump-like figure that is smarter than him, that is more cunning than him, that is more politically experienced than him, will be far more dangerous. And it's the Democrats that need to have an agenda that can garner more people to cast their votes for the anti-Trump element that exists in this country. And men, of course, do play into this conversation. Many things to discuss today. Plus, whatever it is that you guys want to talk about. A bunch of different ways you can share your thoughts as well. You can go to the YouTube. Go to youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device. Search 1017 The Truth and hit subscribe. We also have a phone number that you can call. Somebody will answer it. probably Xavier, who is here today while Ricky is on assignment. 833-212-1017. You also can send a text message to that same number if you're a little shy to talk publicly on the phone. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
It's Dr. Ken Harris, and you can watch me now live on YouTube every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m., and you can watch the best radio show in Wisconsin by going to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Watch me explore the issues which are shaping our community while also having fun discussions, pop culture, current events, all kind of stuff going on right here on YouTube right now by subscribing to 1017 The Truth. Milwaukee Black Talk is now streaming live on YouTube.
Experience some of the most cherished popular music of all time when the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra presents Let's Groove Tonight, Motown and the Philly Sound, May 23rd through the 25th at the Bradley Symphony Center. Byron Stripling will lead the MSO and an exciting trio of vocalists that include Broadway superstar Chester Gregory, Ashley J., and Brick Liam in a musical sojourn of hits made famous by legendary talents such as Lou Rawls, Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross, and The Temptations. Songs like My Girl, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, and I'm Coming Out will come alive in fun and stylish arrangements that are sure to have you dancing and humming along in your seat. Let's Groove Tonight, Motown and the Philly Sound runs May 23rd through the 25th only. So lock up your tickets right now by calling the box office at 414-291-7605 or visit mso.org.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Where did the Democrats make some gains? And I've got a detailed breakdown, and it's not encouraging. And I'm a Democrat, and I'll defend it, and I'll stand on it. And anyone who asks me, and many people do, Sherwin, why are you Democrat? Democrats haven't done nothing for black people. I love getting that question. Can you guys imagine whenever I'm having a political conversation with someone who has genuine questions, because they don't really explain this stuff in schools. If anything, your political sentiment, odds on or odds off, it came from your parents. So if your parents were voters and if they were politically involved and engaged, you probably are too. Or at least you're a little bit more familiar with it. But you're not really taught in school to be a particular party. And a lot of it is classist, you know, where you grew up, the zip code you grew up in, the income of your parents, your developmental environment. A lot of that stuff creates your political sentiment. But then there are people that they never really cared about it because they're worried about other stuff. They were raising kids, or working on career, et cetera, et cetera. And they'll genuinely ask me, well, Sherwin, you know, the Democrats, and it's going to be a black person. Democrats haven't done anything for black people. Right when I hear that, I know that I'm engaged in a conversation, and I assure you it will be a very short conversation that probably does not know what the Democratic Party platform is. They don't know some historic achievements of the Democratic Party. They don't know how they are a party that seeks to give credibility to our issues. But this is also someone who thinks that a political party, which is a corporation, is supposed to help people more than people can help themselves. The best we can ever ask for the Democrats, and they have to have the majority everywhere because we're so polarized politically. Democrats and Republicans don't work together. Now, I came up in the time working for elected officials where they did work together. All of their disagreements were on the field, and the field was in the boardroom or in the chamber, in the legislative council. That's where their disagreements were. But then once they walked out, they were just normal people again. It doesn't work like that anymore. So in order for the Democrats to do this bare minimum, okay, the bare minimum is you have a pathway, you have a road to your success. Whatever your success is, it may be to be, I don't know, a great worker, or to be a better parent, or be a better auto mechanic, whatever your pathway is. The Democrats can use policy to just remove the boulders and remove the roadblocks and the obstacles on your road, on your path to your success. They're not going to drive you there. They're not going to feed you while you're on your way, but they can remove some barriers, some obstacles. They can maybe provide resources and funding to help people that maybe they fell below the cracks. They can do that, but most of this stuff we got to do on our own. So if you think a political party is going to help an entire group of very diverse people, then I think you have it a little bit twisted. It's like if you have a job, and a lot of you do, it's a contract of sorts. Your employer hired you to perform these jobs and these duties, and in turn, they're going to pay you X amount. That's it. The Democrats consider them like an employer. We vote for them, they get elected, they remove the obstacles, we continue on our path. They're not going to fix everything wrong in our lives. Your employer is not going to fix everything wrong in your life. But with the money that you earn, hopefully that removes some of the obstacles that exist when you don't have money. Not having money can put a whole bunch of obstacles in front of you to where you can't be your best, most successful self. You get a job, you have an employer that hires you, they pay you. The employer is not going to fix everything in your life, but they can hopefully provide you a decent enough income to where that money that you make with that employer can help remove some of those obstacles, roadblocks, boulders, and barriers so you can continue on to be a successful human being. That's essentially it. We got to stop looking so hard and so deep into a political party, which is a corporation that is designed to raise money and influence people, thinking that it is going to be all end all. So black people in particular don't continue the sentiment of, oh, the Democrats haven't done anything for me. What are they supposed to do? The most you may ever get before an election is a door knock, and you're not going to answer the door anyway. All right, where have the Democrats made some? Who are their demographics? Where did they make some gains, even though Kamala Harris lost? I don't want to say I'm glad she lost. But hold on, let me clarify that. What he is doing is a lesson in civics we never would have learned. Shaking hands with jihadists, like people that have literally planned terror attacks against Americans. Trump is cozying up to. Whatever, he is who he is. We've known Donald Trump. If you're of a certain age and of a certain generation, you've known Trump for 40 years. We've known about him. He's been a fixture in American culture going back to the 70s. The problem is there are other elected officials that are there to stop him, to curtail him. They have the power to do so, and they're not. That is what the real issue is. And it makes the Democrats look weak because they're in the minority. Democrats can't stop Trump. All they can do is get mad and write op-eds and create legislation that literally goes nowhere. Hakeem Jeffries can have a bill that forgives student loans, gives you $50,000 to start a business, that can make first-time home buyers have an easier pathway to buying a house, and then Democrats will work together and they'll create that bill. And the speaker, who's a Republican, Mike Johnson, will literally take that bill and put it in the garbage. The Democrats may have said, you know what, here are 75 things that working class people, that poor people, people that have fallen below the cracks, people that if we give them a little bit of a boost, they will make America great again. And the Democrats can put all that stuff in a bill, and they can take just like 5% less military spending, and they can fund the whole damn thing. Mike Johnson will throw it in the garbage. And here's the problem. The Democrats' bill would help Republicans too. It would help Republican voters. It would help Republican constituents. It would help Republicans in Tennessee, Kentucky, Southern Ohio, and Louisiana. Mike Johnson would throw it in the garbage because in these days and times, even if it makes sense, and this is why people get so frustrated with politics, even if the legislation makes sense, if it comes from the other party, you just can't support it. I'm shocked by it every single day because I promise you it did not used to be like that. In the event that you get a rogue president, because there was the thought after the slave owner guys fought their cousins and their nieces and nephews in the Revolutionary War. You guys ever think about that for a second? The colonists, the American Revolution was made up of quote unquote Americans, but the English were their relatives. Like, that's who came and colonized, the 13 original colonies. They killed their own family members. Ain't that wild? They started a country. So when you talk about violence and how that violent sentiment still exists to this day, they know no bounds because they killed their own. Like, when we say founding fathers, it was literally their daddies and their grandfathers and their great-grandparents that they killed and that they murdered so they said, we want our own country. It's like the Menendez brothers. I think I'll kill my parents so I can have this house all to myself, right? It's wild. So then you wonder why they don't have an overwhelming amount of sentiment toward us, because they'll kill each other for power. But the Democrats seem impotent. And even when we start talking about names of who's going to run in 2028, they're going to be impotent too. So here's who the Democrats made gains with. None of this is encouraging, by the way. Highly educated voters, PhD holders. The Democrats increased their share of people with PhDs. And I would say, oh, that's great. No, that's seriously, that's a good thing. We need smart people in the Democratic Party. At the same time, you have, I would say, the majority of the nation talking people out of even going to a 4-year college. So if your political party is making gains with the most educated people, but the majority of the people in this country do not have and will never have a PhD, this means that at some point, the Democratic Party is going to cater to the highly educated elite, leaving everybody else behind. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the difference in the practical application of someone who has a PhD and someone who dropped out of school in the 10th grade, and look at their life trajectories 20 years later. They are two different human beings in every measurable regard. One has a bunch more money. One is much healthier. One probably owns property, owns real estate. One has a retirement account. One is probably making minimum wage. Oh, I got some stuff on wages, too, that I want to share with you today, but I don't know if I'll get to it, so I'll just give you a little snippet of it now. In order to make $1 millionaire, you need between 100 and 120 people living deep in the throes of poverty. So essentially minimum wage. So if you want to become a millionaire, and a bunch of you do, you now need to select at some point who are the 100 and 120 people that are going to be living deep in the throes of poverty so you can have your $1 million. Because money in the American economy, if we want to keep inflation in check, is finite. You can't just print a bunch of money and then just give it to people and say, oh, look, everybody's a millionaire. That's when you get inflation. That's when the value of the dollar goes down. And we saw that with the STEMI checks during the pandemic. That's why inflation went up, because we were just printing money and giving it to people with no productivity behind the dollars that were printed and distributed. And we didn't like inflation because y'all had to buy eggs and they cost a bunch. Something else that I learned in this Trump era, how important eggs are. Eggs are the economy. Sherwin, I supported Trump. Oh, you did you? Tell me why. Joe Biden and eggs. Saw a story yesterday, I opted not to bring it up. If Joe Biden's staff said if he would have gotten elected to a second term, that he was going to have to be in a wheelchair. They had the plans, he was he's not walking really anymore, apparently. So they had, because I guess you got to make special accommodations. You got to get a wheelchair ramp for Air Force One. They were starting to, this is before he dropped out of the race, obviously. But they're like, oh yeah, if he gets elected to a second term, he's going to be wheelchair bound. So shout out to the Republicans. They were right. The sleepy, low-energy Joe, that's a real thing because he doesn't walk very well. Xavier said that FDR was wheelchair-bound. Yeah, but he had the polio. Joe Biden just had a case of the olds. I'm going to take a break, come back and talk about where the Democrats made their expansions and why this is not necessarily good for the rest of the country. And also, men, we're in a lot of trouble. I'll be discussing that later on in the program as well. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Brewers baseball is here. Time to pick your Brewers games and get back to the ballpark for tailgate traditions and walk-off wins. Don't miss any of the big games or the superstars. And come back for the best giveaways. Where else would you want to be? Brewers tickets for the 2025 season are on sale now. That's every game all summer long. Get on board for the show today. Grab your seats at brewers.com/ticket finder.
It's time for Truth Takes, a thought-provoking commentary on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Here is Ben Jammin with his truth.
Truth Nation and all the juicy jammers out there, can I be honest? Honest about what? Honest about me. Honest about following your dreams. Matthew 16, verse 26. What does it profit a man to gain the world but lose his soul? I didn't know what I was getting into when my mother birthed me. I never imagined walking out of a job would lead me here. Back in 2017, I was working third shift at a grocery store, hating it. I knew I had to make a change. One day I walked out. No plan, just a leap of faith. 2 months later, I got a job with V100, and it was on and popping. I met Wiz Khalifa, Jerry Springer, Ice Cube, and Charlamagne the God. But in 2020, everything changed. COVID hit and I was furloughed. But it gave me clarity. Clarity on who I was, who my real fans were, and what I truly wanted. After 8 months, I got an opportunity with 1017 The Truth. I got the chance to speak on air, and things took off. I started as a producer, and now I'm the host of Jammin' with Juice. I've spoken with the White House, NBA All-Stars, and even killed an unreleased track with one of your favorite rappers. Through it all, I remained vulnerable with you, Truth Nation, especially after losing my dad. But here's the truth. It's not just about following your dreams. It's about preparing for them. What you want to happen is going to happen. But if you're not ready for it, you have to watch it pass you by. As a great prophet once said, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. So if it wasn't for the divine timing of the George Floyd assassination, the time that I took for myself to become greater, or the vision of the CEO of our company, 1017 The Truth, or myself wouldn't be here. So I'll call it divine timing. I can tell you to follow your dreams, but it's much better if you prepare for them.
This has been Truth Takes on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Listen to Jammin' with Juice with Ben Jammin and Carrie Mahone weekdays from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I am very much a fan, if not an aficionado, of smooth jazz like this, especially with a heavy saxophone and a vibraphone or a xylophone in the background. It's sexy music to me. I like music like this. Puts my mind at ease, you see. Now, I know some of you also might be fans of smooth jazz as well. You've never heard this song before. Well, I guarantee you've never heard it before. Let me give a little bit more. Here's the chorus coming up. Okay? I made the song. I don't know how to play a saxophone. I'm worse than Bob. I made this with AI. Listen, y'all, you guys don't understand it. I'm just starting. I'm in like my first inning, the second pitch of the first inning of my understanding of AI. I am in the process, Sherwin Hughes, and I'm making an album and don't know how to play a damn instrument. And this sounds damn good. I made this song. Well, I gave AI a set of very specific prompts, and it was like, here you go, Sherwin, based upon what you told me, how does this sound? My kneecaps got hard when I heard this song. So, more to come on that. There will be a point where I will no longer rely on a music service like Spotify to play my music, because I'm going to create my own. And this is just one of the unlimited genres of music in which you can create your own tracks. All right, where the Democrats make some gains. Master's degree holders, especially urban and suburban areas, college graduates, particularly women, shifted significantly toward the Democrats in 2018, 2020, 22, and 2024. The trend is essentially this: the more education a voter has, particularly post-grad, the more likely they are to vote Democratic. So you know what this means? People that have lesser amounts of education are much more likely to vote Republican. At the same time, we are telling people, don't go to college, don't go to school, and whatever. That's fine. If people want to respond to that and listen to that because of their life trajectory does not require a college degree, cool. But just know you're making a Republican. And you're not making an old school moderate Republican that's fiscally conservative and socially liberal. You're making another Trumper. I just want you to be aware of that. Just like, here's another comparison. If you want to be a millionaire, you need to decide which 100 or 120 people are going to be poor. And you know how it typically works? Those are your employees. Because there needs to be just basic economics of how money is distributed in this country. And I'm using really, really simple, easy to digest examples. In order for there to be a single millionaire, a person with $1 million in either net assets and or income, there need to be between 100 and 125, 130 people making minimum wage or living deep in the throes of poverty. And now what's supposed to happen is the owner of the company, they want to be rich, of course, because that's why you become an entrepreneur. You pay your employees a low wage so that you can get your lion's share and then some of the profits. But then here's how we even it out in America, and this is what has gotten screwed up. The millionaire owns a business. They pay their workers little money, or they outsource their workers altogether. Instead of paying 100 to 120 Americans minimum wage, they'll just find somebody in like Guatemala and pay them 40 cents an hour, so they can make even more profit. But what that does is it leaves that 100 and 120 Americans completely jobless, you see. But so this millionaire who is skimping on the wages, because in order for him or her to be a millionaire, you need at least 100 people to be making minimum wage or living deep in the throes of poverty. The taxes that millionaire pays is redistributed to those minimum wage workers in the form of like SNAP benefits, energy assistance, housing assistance, healthcare assistance, Medicaid, et cetera, et cetera. But what this current incarnation of Republicans are doing is they are cutting the taxes, therefore cutting the resources of the people living in poverty, of the people making minimum wage that exist because there is a single millionaire. Now, if you want to do a billionaire, now you're going to need 1,000 people that are living deep in the throes of poverty or making minimum wage. So for every billionaire, just know there are thousands of people that live in poverty. And there's some people that have $200 billion, $300 billion, $400 billion. Think about how much poverty that creates. But the saving grace is supposed to be the taxes that those ultra mega billionaires pay is supposed to help ease the suffering of the people who are at the very, very bottom rung, whose very poverty is the reason why those people have those billions of dollars in the first place. Next is suburban voters, especially well-educated, diverse suburbs around major metropolitan areas like Atlanta, Phoenix, Philly, Dallas, and Denver. You probably could include the Milwaukee metro area as well, because you have some younger suburbanites living just outside of the city of Milwaukee in our concentric ring of suburbs, or maybe even in some nearby counties, especially women and suburban women who have been much more motivated to vote for Democrats because of reproductive rights. That actually makes a lot of sense. Once Republican strongholds, now leaning Democratic due to shifts on social issues, Trump backlash, and education concerns. Next is young voters. That's where the Democrats made some gains and likely will make more in 26 and 2028. Millennials and Gen Z are leaning heavily Democratic by double-digit margins and increasing. Issues driving this shift are climate change, which I'll say is not one of my top issues because, I barely even recycle. What do you want from me? Plus, they say like 70% of the stuff that we recycle don't even get recycled. Did you know that? Don't even recycle it. It gets thrown in the garbage. Climate change, racial justice, student debt, abortion rights, and LGBTQ plus rights are reasons why millennials and Gen Z are leaning heavily toward the Democratic Party. So if you're a Democrat, if you're an anti-Trump person, let the people have their gay rights. Because I don't want them. More rights for everybody. Let them eat cake. If you want to get trans, gay, bisexual, queer married, that ain't got nothing to do with me. You ain't taking no women away from me. I don't know why people get so bent out of shape about that. Especially men. Men, why do you get mad when another man that's gay wants to gay marry another man? Is that taking a man away from you? No, it's leaving more women. You know what? I want all the gay men to get gay married to other men. All of them. I want you to get gay happily married. Go live in a gay house in the gay suburbs, drive a gay car, which is probably a Volvo, maybe a Subaru, whatever. This leaves more women. Next category is, in fact, women, especially unmarried women. So I'm going to stop there, take a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about how unmarried women, which is a growing demographic in America, are increasing their vote share for the Democrats. Now, again, this is probably going to put them, unmarried women who are a growing share of Democratic voters, at odds with men. So stay tuned. I got more to discuss on that topic. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be back shortly.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Truth Nation, Gruber Law Offices and The Truth have raised the stakes for this year. The One Call, That's All Gruber Cash Giveaway is now a $5K giveaway. Yes, you heard it right. $5,000 giveaway. Every weekday on 1017 The Truth, you will have the chance to be entered to win the $5K giveaway. Listen to The Truth for the One Call, That's All cue to call for your chance to win $5,000. Gruber Law Offices, One Call, That's All. Visit 1017thetruth.com for official contest rules.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design. Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
Escape the city and relax at Lake Lawn Resort in beautiful Delavan, Wisconsin. Enjoy outdoor activities on Delavan Lake. Tee off at the lakeside Majestic Oaks Golf Course or unwind at the award-winning Calidora Spa. With both indoor and outdoor pools, there's fun for the whole family. Take a cruise on the Lake Lawn Queen. Explore stunning shores and historic landmarks. And enjoy delicious food and drinks on board. Book your stay today at lakelawnresort.com, where everything is better at the lake.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
All you have is one chance after an accident.
one decision on who to call, one shot to get the help you need. Don't waste it on the one offer you get from your insurance company. Make the one call to Gruber Law Offices. It's the only one you'll need to make. Call us today. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I made this one too. I probably should be nominated for a Grammy. You know?
I agree.
Thank you. Makes your job a lot easier, Xavier, if I make my own music and play my own music. You ain't got to worry about what to play because I'm a master composer. Kidding, it's AI. There's no need.
Also helps with monetization.
Oh, I got a plan for that. Yeah. I am, so I can retain full, because this is original music, because the prompts that I put in that create this song, even if somebody put in the same string of words that I put into this AI music generator, it still wouldn't sound like this. Because I've done it before. I put in like 7 or 8 different phrases of what I want the music to sound like, right? Boom, it creates a song. Takes a little while, it generates a song. I've used those exact same words, same phrasing, and had AI create another song, and it was totally and completely different. It was in the same genre, but you can literally make an entire album of however many songs, 20 songs, using the same descriptions, and AI will produce a different track every single time. And it can write lyrics for you too. Let me see, did I have one where I write? If y'all would see this folder, it is an absolute mess.
Is this your new hobby?
Yes. I always got to find a way to keep myself entertained. So the thing about my brain is it probably should be studied. So because my brain is like turned up because I got to talk and make sense for 3 hours a day. Sometimes I do make sense for 3 hours a day. Sometimes I don't make any sense at all. So I thank you guys for listening. But my brain works so fast that my mouth can't move as fast as my brain does. And so my brain is just like revved up, like turbocharged. So then when I leave the air after being turbocharged for 3 hours, like I need to like do something, you know what I mean? Because I'm all revved up. And so I always have to find some kind of hobby to occupy my time, or at least something where I'm able to wind down. And so this might be my new thing that I do. I also can, and I've learned this when I was at WNOV, I can be talking, okay, like I'm talking to you right now, reading an article while I'm talking and having this conversation I'm having right now, reading an article and finding the sections in the article that I want to talk about next or in my next segment while I'm carrying on a conversation about a particular topic. So I can talk and then read something totally separate and keep my train of thought. I also can talk and type. Like I might be talking to you guys about, oh, and Donald Trump did this, but then I also could be like Googling or chat GPTing, the implication of tax cuts on the working class. But this is just stuff that you learn when you do this job for a long enough time. All right, where are Democrats making their gains? Racial and ethnic minorities, black voters consistently vote over 85 to 90% Democratic. Take that for what it is. Let me generalize that just a little bit so people can get a better perspective, especially those people that say Democrats aren't doing anything for black people. Do you guys think that racism exists in the country? That's a simple yes or no. Some of you will say yes. And for those of you that think that racism exists in this country, like real angry, mean, visceral kind of racism to where they hate non-white people. They hate them, okay? And if you know that the majority of the people that you hate are all consolidated in one political party, because it's too much trouble to go out and harm individuals of a racial group or an ethnic group that you hate. But if you know that 85 to 90% of Democratic voters, the people that lean on the Democratic Party for help to remove those obstacles, to create policies that will help the 85 to 90% of the African Americans that vote for the Democrats, that means if you want to be the best racist you can be, just be against the Democratic Party. That's all you have to do. That's it. Oppose everything they do. Now, opposing everything that the Democrats do, it may hurt you too, but it's going to hurt black people worse. That is where this current incarnation essentially stemmed from. If they know where we're at, like if they know what neighborhood we live in, let's say the Democrats, if it was geography, the Democrats are the north side of Milwaukee. Well, then that's who you punish. That's who you harm. That's who you defund. That's whose schools you leave in disrepair. That's where you send in the police. That's where you put in the harsher sentences. See what I mean? If they know that 85 to 90% of African Americans are putting all of their political stock in the Democratic Party, then you make sure the Democrats are never successful, and you will be able to systemically harm the people that you hate. That brings us to our current situation. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 2.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Hey, Truth fam, this is your girl, Melanie Ricks, and I want to remind you to tune into Nothing But the Truth digital show with me, Melanie Ricks, presented by Visit Milwaukee. Every Wednesday at 6 p.m., a new episode drops on the 1017 The Truth YouTube page. And since it is on YouTube, I hold nothing back. I give you all my hot takes on celebrity gossip and give you the tea on relationships that you don't want to miss. Subscribe to 1017 The Truth on YouTube so you never miss Nothing But the Truth digital show, dropping every Wednesday at 6 p.m., presented by Visit Milwaukee. Handcrafted, homegrown, world class.
Coming with straight truth.
I wonder how many of these kids that's running around here, if they tested them for lead, look up lead crisis in different townships and look at the behavior and then look at what's going on in Milwaukee and match it up. Do your little research. Go get your thumbs. Instead of getting in the comments and arguing with folks, go look up the side effects of a lead poison environment, then watch the news.
Catch the Tory Lowe Show every weekday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Hey everybody, it's Melanie Ricks. You all know I love supporting a local team. That's why I'm excited to tell you about UW Credit Union. They've been serving Wisconsin for over 90 years. And when I was in school, they helped me learn how to plan for my future and make my money grow. Even now, they're still always there for me when I have questions, and they'll be there for you too. So stop by any of their 13 Milwaukee area branches or visit uwcu.org to become a UW Credit Union member today, like me. Federally insured by NCUA.
Suicide on a team is devastating and a real risk for veterans. If you or someone you know is struggling, taking action for mental health is a brave step. Reach out now at reachoutwis.org for local resources available to you and your loved ones.
Paid for by Advancing a Healthier Wisconsin Endowment with support by the Medical College of Wisconsin, the War Memorial Center, and reachoutwis.org.
Truth Nation, let us talk our ish for a moment. There is no other station in the country where you get a front row seat to hear from some of the biggest names in politics, pop culture, and sports. People like Grammy Award winner John Legend.
Knowing that fight isn't over, knowing that we've got to stay motivated and stay inspired. Glory was the song that myself and Common wrote. Two brothers from the Midwest, from Chicago and from Springfield, Ohio.
Oscar Award winning actor Don Cheadle.
I know that we're the bright, shiny thing that sometimes gets the attention, but I would say don't listen to celebrities. You don't have to listen to us. Listen to yourself.
And President Donald Trump's son, Don Jr.
When did we have a strong economy? And I don't think anyone with a straight face can say right now. And the reality, when you look at it, it's not even voting for my father. Look at the team that's now surrounding him.
Tap into the award-winning and nationally recognized 1017 The Truth by downloading the Truth app and streaming us live at 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Milwaukee Black Talk. You're listening to the new 1017 The Truth, founded in partnership with Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee. A locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin here. I made this one too. I said, give me a sad white girl. Make like really sad, like we're not sure if she's gonna be here by the weekend. You know what I mean?
I'll shoot your album cover.
I'm just experimenting with many different genres. Wait till I tackle country. Wait till my black ass makes an AI country album and I win a Grammy. Wait, y'all don't even understand it. You don't get it. And somebody is asking me, oh, Sherwin, what program? I'm not telling you that. Go find it on your own. You know how much internet searching I had to do? I had to search for like 25 minutes to find a good AI music generation program. Seriously, though, there's literally dozens of them. You can, this may sound cliche. You can do anything with it. And it's in its infancy. The other thing that AI is going to do, and I caution myself when I do this because I don't want to ever give people financial advice, because if you take my advice and things don't work out the way you want them to, then you'll get mad at me. So always invest your money wisely, get a financial advisor, whatever. Don't take my word for it. I'm not a financial advisor. The money, I'm not going to say money that's going to be made. Companies that invest in artificial intelligence technology, whether it be Palantir or NVIDIA, Google is coming out with a monster AI software platform. And then Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, is investing something like $70 billion in building an artificial intelligence platform. Google, my opinion, Google and Meta are probably better equipped because they have so much data on us and they have like so much they can feed into an AI algorithm that they will be able to produce models that will be able to help us do damn near anything. We may get to a point where like our surgeries are, whatever our ailment is, it'll be fed into an AI computing device, and then they'll have a little robot surgeon that won't make any mistakes, that will be precision with that operation. It's going to get to that point. It has to. Listen, I make music. I make good music. If I can make music, then AI is going to rule the world. But the money that is going to be made by investing in AI companies, I missed the .com boom. So when I was in my mid-20s, early 20s, the money that was millions of dollars were made overnight because people didn't know what the internet was, and we also didn't know what its potential was. Now, there was a boom and a bust because when people found out about AOL and CompuServe and the consumer internet where you can get online and you can look stuff up. And back then it was primitive. It was nothing like it is right now. People lived their lives on the internet. If you were around back then, back in the mid 1990s, the late 1990s, the internet was basically a glorified set of video games and like MTV.com. And Coca-Cola had a website. Like there wasn't really much going on there, but there were people that saw where we are right now back then. They're like, these internet companies, these startup companies, most of which don't even exist anymore, are going to be the wave of the future. And people started buying internet company stock because they knew this was going to be the wave of the future. They were right. But then as values kept going and going, like there's examples of if you invested, $5 in AOL Viacom, your $5 turned into $300,000. It was insane. This .com boom. So any publicly traded company that was affiliated with the internet or had a website, the values of those stocks went up by thousands and thousands of percentages. It created a whole class of millionaires. And now those millionaires that were created during the .com boom are now billionaires right now because they got an early start. But then when people start to realize, okay, well, what do internet companies produce? Like, what do they make? Like, what's the end game with them? And that's when the bottom dropped out and people started selling their shares when they realized, yeah, we have all these websites and we have the ability to connect people, but where is the value in that? So people speculated on what the internet could be, and that gave an immediate boost in value. Like, oh my God, I want to buy all these internet.com stocks. Because at that point, we hadn't perfected algorithms. Here's what internet companies and businesses and .coms produced that we did not know back then. Data. Your information, your personal information, where you go, what you do, what you like, what you eat, who you talk to, how you shop. That information is invaluable. That's why Facebook is free, because the data that we share with Facebook, and that's just one example, is worth billions, if not trillions of dollars, because they can accurately target us on how to sell us more products. But in the early days of the internet, we didn't know how useful data was going to be. Also, we didn't really have much privacy concerns because people weren't banking on the internet. If you told me to put my credit card information on a website before the year 2002, I would have said you were crazy. By 2002, the security technology was stout enough to where I think I made my first internet purchase was on eBay. But prior to that, I didn't buy stuff on the internet. Now, I buy everything on the internet. Everything. Everything. All right. Democrats. Another demographic group in which the Democrats are expanding their base and will be key to future Democratic victories in midterm elections in 2026 or presidential elections in 2028, and probably both, are secular/religiously unaffiliated voters. They are a rapidly growing segment of the electorate. Atheists, agnostics, and religious nuns are voting strongly Democratic, and their numbers are increasing. Issues: church-state separation, LGBTQ plus rights, science policy, and abortion access. And of course, the group in which Democrats are continuing to make more gains are LGBTQ plus voters. Strong Democratic support and upwards of 70 to 80% of people that identify as the L, as the G, as the B, as the T, as the Q, and the plus. The plus is a whole, that's all the other letters you didn't want to fit in, right? Now, I need you to think about this. Just practically. Don't think about it as a matter of emotion or policy or what the Democrats do. Don't take all that stuff out of it. Because most people, believe it or not, that vote, they don't know any of that stuff. They know how they feel about a party. They know how they feel about Donald Trump. You'll even have somebody say something like, oh, that candidate is taller than the other, or that one is more handsome. When people don't know the nuances of politics and policy, they vote on really arbitrary stuff. Just like when women buy cars, they buy cars based on stuff like cup holders. And that's not me being anti-woman or misogynist, which I know a lot of you love to call me misogynist. Go ahead. I can take it. But sometimes people look at arbitrary things and when they make their political decisions. If you know that 85 to 90% of African Americans vote for Democrats, and you know that 80% of LGBTQ plus voters also vote for Democrats, okay? And you know that religiously unaffiliated voters, you know, those godless atheists and agnostics, also vote for Democrats. Imagine the person, and this person does exist, and there's millions of them that don't like LGBTQ folks, okay? That same person doesn't like godless atheists, okay? And that same person also doesn't like black people. All they have to do is vote for a Republican. Because what the Republican Party will ultimately become is a political party that stands in opposition to LGBTQ plus, stands in opposition to the atheists, the agnostics, and the religiously unaffiliated, and stands to harm African Americans. There are cohorts of people in this country that don't. There's also cohorts of people that don't like highly educated voters, PhD holders, master's degree holders. The Democrats are increasing their vote share with those groups as well. So imagine if you hate these super educated people because they think that they're elite and they know more than everybody else. And women too. Women are, especially unmarried women, they are voting much more for Democrats. So now imagine the prototype of who this person is. They hate black people. They hate gay people. They hate godless people. They don't think that women should have the right to make their own choices about their bodies. And they hate highly educated voters. Donald Trump welcomed those people because the Democrats are ignoring them. The Democrats are ignoring the people that are not in their highly educated cohort. Democrats might be ignoring people that go to religious services possibly 7 times a week. And the Democrats, of course, are ignoring and not paying any attention to those cohorts of people that don't like black people. And as a Democrat, I want the Democrats to ignore those people because those are the people that want to harm me and those that are like me. But at the same time, Donald Trump has welcomed them in. And I think the Democrats are going to double down on expanding their base and their outreach to those select groups of people, which also gives someone who hates the gays, hates the blacks, don't think that women should be able to get an abortion, and hates people that have high levels of education. Those folks, and a lot of them have fallen through the cracks. And some of them are black too, imagine that. Because you can have a black person that goes to church and believes in God and hates godless people and hates gays. The Republican Party speaks directly to that African-American man. There can be an African-American man that thinks that these highly educated people are trying to outsmart him and outthink him. There could be an African-American man that thinks that women have gotten too damn big for their britches. That African-American man will find a very comfortable home in the Republican Party, even though the Republican Party also is against the progress for African Americans. And I say that because you really can't name any specific policy, not as specific as Kamala Harris got. She had a whole 15-page paper on African American men and what she planned to do with federal resources to address the issues of African American men being ignored. I'm black, and I've never even written a 15-page paper on what black people need. She went further than me. The Republicans will never do any such thing because they exist and their brand exists to be a welcoming home to people that do not like black folks. So that is where we are stuck. And if the Republicans want, that's why they're sticking by Donald Trump. That's why no members of the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate are going to break with Donald Trump, because there is a cohort of voters that will not let those Republican representatives, even if Senator Ron Johnson said something like, poverty in the city of Milwaukee is really, really bad. Maybe we shouldn't cut some of the city of Milwaukee or Milwaukee County's funding to help people that have housing insecurity. If Ron Johnson even said that, he'd lose the next election. And his next election ain't for like 4 more years. That is why we are where we are. It's not the love and the patriotism of supporting and wanting to help all Americans, why people vote for the political party that they choose. It's who can you hurt? Who can you punish? Who can you diminish? Who can you shame? If I don't have the time, effort, and energy to go out and punch a bunch of people in the face, punch a bunch of gay people in the face, just vote for a Republican. They'll do it for you. But they'll do it from a higher perch. If I don't like black people, because, you blacks are... Now you blacks are over here making music with AI. Another reason to hate you. I don't have to say anything to you. I don't even have to call you the N-word, because, if a white person calls a black person the N-word, they'll start a GoFundMe and raise $1 million, There's that whole thing. So you don't even have to burden yourself with being labeled a racist. So don't call a black person the N-word. Just vote for and support the Republican Party. Now, let me also say this. Not every single Republican is a racist. Not every Republican is a racist, but every racist votes for Republicans. You're listening to a non-racist show, The Truth, with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
this may be another Elon Musk bureaucratic shuffle, or this may be whatever it is. These, Dr. Ken, are real consequences.
This is The Truth Unfiltered with Denise Thomas and Dr. Ken Harris.
I believe that there's going to be a step back and a rollback to some of those places that we're talking about making cuts because of the drastic outcome that can occur.
Sundays starting at 7 on 620 WTMJ and Mondays at 6 on 1017 The Truth.
Experience some of the most cherished popular music of all time when the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra presents Let's Groove Tonight, Motown and the Philly Sound, May 23rd through the 25th at the Bradley Symphony Center. Byron Stripling will lead the MSO and an exciting trio of vocalists that include Broadway superstar Chester Gregory, Ashley J., and Brick Liam in a musical sojourn of hits made famous by legendary talents such as Lou Rawls, Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross, and The Temptations. Songs like My Girl, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, and I'm Coming Out will come alive in fun and stylish arrangements that are sure to have you dancing and humming along in your seat. Let's Groove Tonight, Motown and the Philly Sound runs May 23rd through the 25th only. So lock up your tickets right now by calling the box office at 414-291-7605 or visit mso.org.
At U.S. Bank, when they say they're in it with you, they mean it. Not just for the good stuff, the grand openings and celebrations, although those are pretty great, but for all the hard work it took to get there, the fine-tuning of goals, the managing of cash and workflows, and decision-making. They're in to help you through all of it, because together they're proving day in and day out that there is nothing as powerful as the power of us. Visit usbank.com to get started today. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, copyright 2024, U.S. Bank.
Ready to join the fun? With Girl Scouts Extended Year Membership from Girl Scouts,
you can sign up by June 30th and get up to 18 months of adventure through September 30th, 2026.
Girls starting kindergarten or first grade in 2025 will also receive 3 Get Ready with Girl Scouts activity books
featuring games, crafts, and stories the whole family will love for free. Plus, you'll even get a special gift from the Girl Scouts. Join today and get ready to grow, explore, and shine with Girl Scouts.
Experience, knowledge, results. That's what really matters when you need help after a serious truck accident. You'll need a lawyer experienced in fighting and winning for people just like you. Gruber Law Offices has the resources, strong track record of success, and a team of experienced lawyers to take care of your needs. We've successfully helped people injured in big truck accidents for more than 35 years. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Walking papers in. Well, I want to be the man that my daddy raised me to be. My mama taught me to be. See, baby. Guess who loves you more? Guess who loves you more?
I did not make this song. But wait a little while and I'll be making songs that sound like Raheem Devon. All right, I titled the show Death by 1,000 Cuts because the non-military spending that cities get, that counties get to assist people, to help people, to keep our cities together, because everybody is not doing well, and we do have organizations and agencies that provide very necessary resources to a number of different types of people so that they can be somewhat functional. Well, a lot of that is being cut, and what you're going to end up doing is you're going to increase the negative social indicators in a city. There's going to be more domestic violence. There's going to be more crime. There's going to be more theft. More cars are going to get stolen. Health outcomes are going to suffer because they're going to be cutting healthcare spending and, spending for, neighborhood clinics, et cetera, et cetera. So all of the negative things that exist are going to get worse. And I would argue that Milwaukee is a place where we can't have the negative things get worse. But it also will be an incredible learning lesson. That's why earlier I said, had Kamala Harris won, we would not experience anything like this to where, let's say they cut $30 or $40 million from Milwaukee County's services they provide to vulnerable people. They cut $10 or $15 million from the city of Milwaukee's resources they provide to these different agencies and nonprofits that help people. How are we going to get through that? We're going to have to be very, very crafty and get very, very creative. And it's going to require people that would typically never work together to work together, because a culmination of different constituencies are going to be harmed by these cuts. And these cuts are going to be very painful, and everybody will feel it. Even if you don't really have much dealings with the city of Milwaukee, you moved away because, blacks and crime. When these negative social indicators go up, because some of the resources that people need to sustain a sad life, not even get out of a sad life and have a happy life or a productive life, just to sustain themselves. When those resources are cut, even when those of you that live outside of the city of Milwaukee, when you come here, you may come face to face with someone who's got nothing to lose. So yes, those cuts may harm you too. But we don't see ourselves as a universal family, a community, an interconnected group of human beings. We divide one another because of these constituencies. And I get that, because people are different, but at the end of the day, we all want the same things. To have sex with prostitutes and not have our wives find out. We all want that, don't we? No? Right. So in the expansion of the Democrats' constituencies, there's a growing group of people that are disconnected from all of that in which the Democrats are trying to court. If you are not gay, if you happen to be religious, if you are not black, maybe you're a 27-year-old white guy, and you're seeing all these other groups, especially women, make monumental strides and improve their situation, and you are not. You've never went on a date before. That's a real thing. That there are men who are like 30, never had a serious girlfriend, never been on a date. They're incels. Incels is a real specific group of people because they're actually a terrorist group. What we don't hear about, so whenever there's like a mass shooting, and it's not always a big one, it can be a person that's went nuts and killed like 3 or 4 people. Sometimes the manifestos are left, and sometimes the public is made aware of them. Sometimes they're not. And so what they have found is that a lot of these young-ish white men that go on these killing sprees, and not the really, really big ones, but just they killed 4 or 5 people at a shopping mall or at a Walmart or something. Those are common in America. These men are unloved, never had a girlfriend, never went on a date before, been shot down by women, try and develop online relationships with women on OnlyFans, but when their money runs out, so does their affection and so does their attention. Those men are very, very dangerous. They're just unwanted and unloved. And a lot of women would say, well, then so what? That's what you deserve, and you're just a terrible guy, and you need to fix yourself up. Some of these men, they can't. And they become very, very, very dangerous. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything that we need to all do to help these poor guys get dates, but there is a cohort of men that are lonely. Men, if there are 5 bodies in a morgue and they died by suicide, 4 of them are men. Men are much more likely to drop out of high school, much more likely to die of deaths of despair. And again, I am not asking any of you to do anything, but I am talking about a cohort of men. They subscribe to like Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan. What's the other? There's another one. Who's the one that eats the pizza? What is his name? He does. He's another guy in the manosphere. It's a whole bunch of them. I can't think of. Portnoy, Dave Portnoy, right? They speak to toxic masculinity because these men feel left out, left behind, and left back. And they think it's because they're men. That's why everybody hates them. But these men are sad. They're lonely. They're depressed. They're more likely to abuse drugs and die from drug overdoses. These deaths of despair, these are the men that we're talking about, okay? Here's where Donald Trump wins. And here's where, no matter how bad Trump gets, and Trump is just getting started, we just celebrate, I shouldn't say celebrate. We just crossed 100 days of Donald Trump like a week or two ago, so we're still on a runway. We ain't even gotten off the runway yet, let alone reach our cruising altitude. But in those men that I just described, Donald Trump was like, I'll talk to you. No, come on over here. I'm going to bring back manufacturing. Yeah, no, you're going to be working again. We're going to make America great again. Democrats have ignored that constituency of men. And it's something like 24% of the 24 or 26%. If you go to the Democratic Party's website, and they'll give you a description of all of the different constituencies that they are for. The environmentalists, the climate change people, African Americans and migrants, and these are the people we're for, LGBTQ. It's roughly 74 to 76% of the population that the Democrats publicly say that they create policies for. But that other 24 to 26%, these men that I'm talking about, much more likely to be lonely, unmarried, unattached, much more likely to overconsume alcohol, use drugs, and are much more likely to commit suicide. Those are the folks that the Democrats have completely ignored, and Donald Trump has welcomed them in. Now, Trump is lying to them, but they are vulnerable and they are desperate, and some of them are racist. Some of them are anti-gay. But that is Donald Trump's constituency, and the Democrats don't even have the mechanism to reach out to those people. Bernie Sanders would have been the best, in my opinion, the worst best hope to galvanize that constituency, because that constituency that I'm talking about, those men, those unattached, unaffiliated, detached, sad, lonely, depressed men, Bernie spoke to them because he realized that those were the men that used to go out and work, and they've lost a lot of their jobs to automation, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, hell, I just took a bunch of music producers' jobs because now I make music with AI. But Bernie Sanders also had major shortcomings in the rest of his political platform, but he spoke to that cohort of mostly white men that the Democrats are ignoring. The Democratic Party is a black party, it's a woman party, and it's a gay party. And if you are opposed to any of those things, you're either politically disconnected or you vote for the Republicans. And some people don't want to vote for Donald Trump, but when it comes down to it, they would rather vote for Trump and hope that they get something economic out of it, hope that they can bring back manufacturing jobs and bring back factory jobs, which, again, is never going to happen. But they're so vulnerable that they would rather vote for Trump and risk all the other damage that Trump is doing than to vote for the Democrats, which is a woman party. And a lot of these guys hate women. They're mad at women because they're not getting laid. It's easy to have disdain for the thing that you aren't getting. And that's why you don't really hear a lot from them when Donald Trump wants to accept a $500 million jet from a foreign country. Do you know what that, you guys hear about this? The country of Qatar wants to give Donald Trump a jet, and Donald Trump wants this foreign, we're talking about a terrorist state wants to give Donald Trump a gift. Highly illegal. You guys know that's illegal, right? You know that foreign governments can't reward and give gifts to our president because that's a bribe? That means that if that country wants to go to war with one of our allies, Donald Trump has got to stay out of it. Well, you gave me a plane, so if you want to bomb Paris, I'm not going to do anything because you gave me a jet. So it's highly illegal and unconstitutional. It's called the Emoluments Clause. It means that presidents can't accept much more than a damn cup of coffee from a foreign agent or a foreign government because it will be seen as a bribe. And we need our president to be above such political corruption. But Trump is able to get away with it because there's a core constituency that doesn't care what Trump does because they are so sad, so lonely, and so desperate. They think that by Trump being in office, something is going to come to them. So if Trump has to do some shenanigans and take some bribes, and if Trump has a meme coin or one of those cryptocurrencies that other countries can also buy to cater favor with Donald Trump and another attempt to bribe him, those constituencies don't care. They'll let Donald Trump get away with it because Trump is going to save me and he's going to stop these blacks too. History will tell that story because people will wonder, how did American democracy completely fold? How did you guys let this happen? there is an ignored constituency that does not feel connected to a Democratic Party that is growing blacker, gayer, and more atheist. Remember, elections in this country, especially in states, are decided by 1 point here or 1 point there. The constituency that the Democrats are ignoring, because remember, the Democratic Party, it's a gay party, it's a trans party, it's a queer party, it's a bisexual party, it's a black party, and it's a woman party. What I just named, those different groups that I just named, are hated by somebody in this country. And if you hate those people, but you don't have, the time and the effort and the ammunition to kill all of them, you can just vote for a Republican. And in a state like Wisconsin, if that cohort outvotes the Democratic candidate by 1 or 2 percentage points, then Wisconsin becomes and maintains its status as a red state. So I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I'm going to give you a few more details about this constituency that we can't ignore them. I don't know how we outreach to them. I don't know what they need. They are suffering. And I know that there are women who are making monumental gains, and I got some details on that too. Women don't care about these men. So these are the men that are also, let's say they're on dating sites. They're on Bumble and Tumble and what's the one where you Tinder, that one too, and the Match.net, Harmony, eHarmony, whatever, all the dating sites. I bet Christian Mingle, that's where the freaks are at. Like S&M bondage people that like to peg. They peg probably. That's probably where Christian Mingle, don't let that fool you. So what we come to find out, because, dating websites and dating behavior is highly studied because we have all the data that we need. 90% of the women that go on these dating websites, I'll let you fill in the blanks of the requirements that these women have. It's everything. Intelligent, smart, money, funny, established, emotionally mature, emotionally available, commitment-minded. It's a ridiculous list, okay? 90% of the women want these characteristics. Because if she's going to be on a website and choosing the kind of man, because it's basically a checkbox. You just check different qualities you want the guy to have, right? So why not check everything? There's no need to be realistic, because in the off chance that you meet the guy that meets all 27 of your requirements, well, then you're going to be very, very happy. Here's the thing. Oh, there are men that meet those requirements. Very small number of men. It's only about 10% of men that meet those very strict requirements that 90% of the women have, and then 90% of the women are looking for when they're doing the online dating. That leaves 90% of the men completely ignored. And then that 10% of men that 90% of the women are vying for, they're not getting married either. Why? Because they got 90% of the women to choose from. How on earth do you expect them to choose? I could do a whole show on dating behavior in modern American society, and it will blow your mind. I probably have as much data and information on that and statistics on that than I do public policy. It is just insane. This huge number of women are vying for the very smallest share. Like, if you want a man that's, just if I take height as an example, a man that's 6 feet tall or taller, I think like 6'2" or taller, you've eliminated like 80% of the men. Just off top, 80%. So now you're dealing with 20% of the men. And if you want those 20% to have a great personality, have money, and be emotionally available, now you're looking at like 8% of men. And of that 8%, okay, that are 6'2" or higher, have money, they're established, they're mature, and they're emotionally available, guess what? Half of them are gay. Now you got 4%. So think about the math on that. You got 90% of the women who, if you want a man that's 6'2" or taller and has all these other attributes, 90% of the women are vying for single-digit percentages of men. The problem is, a woman may luck out and sleep with a professional athlete, a famous person, or a CEO of a large corporation, right? She may get lucky. She might meet a guy at a fundraiser or at a cocktail mixer that is way out of her league, okay? Way out of her league. He, knowing that this woman, that he's this millionaire CEO or professional athlete, he knows he can sleep with that woman. And he does. And for him, it's just whatever. It's just recreation. that woman now thinks that is the cohort she should be dating. So she slept with a man that was way, 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 way out of her league. But now she has elevated her standards for every single man to be that multimillionaire athlete or that multimillionaire CEO. And she simply can't find him. The other thing that is perplexing to some women get it. A man doesn't have to like you to sleep with you. I think that confuses a lot of women. Because ladies, you prefer to like the guy that you sleep with, even though you... like your husband, like you may not like him, but you'll sleep with him out of obligation. But men will sleep with a woman that they hate. It's weird, isn't it? We do. I'm not saying I do. But you don't have to like a woman to sleep with her at all. And if you're a man of high status and you physically intimate yourself with this woman, you and your type, your cohort is now going to be... she won't settle for anything less because she slept with the athlete, she slept with the CEO. And then all these other hardworking dudes that'll take care of you, that will love you, that'll never cheat on you, you ignore all of them because you're chasing the man that is literally out of your league. It's a whole thing I could do on that. Maybe we'll talk about that on Friday, but right now I got to take a little pause for the cause. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Immerse yourself in a place where bold ideas are sought after, where all are encouraged to bring their personal flourish. Here, innovation is a way of life. In this city, the beat flows. Together, we're dancing to the rhythm. Forward. Now, it's your turn to grab hold of that energy where you'll remember not just the meals, the celebrations, or the uncommon coast. What you'll remember is how we made you feel. Come experience Milwaukee, where fresh meets fearless every day.
Life's better with American Family Insurance, because whether it's a family road trip in your dream car or hosting a family reunion in your dream home, we help you feel protected so you can enjoy those dreams with peace of mind. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Today's Making Your Money Work is presented by Associated Bank, and now I am excited to be joined by Tamara Castle. So let's get this thing right started. We are talking about buying a home for first-time home buyers. Why do you think a credit score is important, and what score do I need to be approved for a loan?
Well, of course, we all know that credit score is important. It's really measuring your ability to borrow. So with Associated Bank, we need at least a 620 middle score. And what we do is help customers build up that credit. With me having a background as a counselor, I'm able to tell you, looking at your credit report, what little steps you will need to take to get it up to that 620. Because again, like you said, not everybody is ready to purchase with their score, but once you get some guidelines, some tips to bring that score up, we'll get you ready for the 620 and get you rolling.
I love that. So you help people actually even get it up to where it needs to be so they can buy a home.
Yes, and that makes the kind of difference between me and other loan officers is because I used to be a home buying counselor, so I can give tips while I'm actually doing the application.
What would you say are some benefits of getting a home loan with Associated Bank?
Well, number one is customer service. We strive on that, making sure that we have open communication, and again, using a CRA loan officer that's going to break down what you need versus the loan officer that just says, I can't help you. Click. We are actually going to sit with you, and whether it takes 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, we'll still be here to help you with that mortgage loan.
Well, I already know people are ready right now just from hearing this. So how can they contact someone at Associated Bank about getting started?
They can always go to associatebank.com. Obviously, you will look up Tamara Castle and reach out. The best way is phone 262-888-3135. We take the applications over the phone, face-to-face, or online.
I love it. Thank you so much, Tamara, for joining me here today.
Making your money work on the award-winning 1017 The Truth is sponsored by Associated Bank. Your money works here. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I did not make this song, but I could. Earlier, I was playing a few tracks that I made with an AI music generation program, and I got a text message at 833-212-1017, and somebody asked, "No, Sherwin, seriously, you didn't make that song. What's the name of the artist?" I ain't telling you the name of the artist, because the artist is me. Working on putting together a bunch of tracks. You can explore every genre of music, and they give you like a template of, it's got to be 300 or 400 different genres of music, stuff I never even heard of before. And you can put in an idea and it can generate lyrics for you. I mean, ChatGPT can make a song for you. That's not anything new. If you want a hip hop song about living on Sesame Street in the 1980s, ChatGPT will literally put together a song with a chorus and a hook. It'll put together the lyrics. And then you can take those lyrics and put it into a music generation app, and it will create a song for you. So have you guys, I don't want to ignore this story on men, because that's part of the problem with some of these men. They're getting ignored, so I'm going to get back to it. But there are these YouTube channels where it'll be like 2.5, 3 hours, 3.5 hours worth of music, usually like lo-fi beats, ambient music, and you'll have like an animation that will play. It's like a little animation on a loop, and then it's just music. It's dozens and dozens of tracks that just play straightforward. Where if you go to YouTube, if you have a television at your house that's connected to the internet, and you go to one of these YouTube channels that plays these hours of ambient tracks, and you of course can select your genre. It can be hip hop, instrumentals, whatever. But if you see that animation as the background while the music is playing, that's all AI generated. Somebody used software to either create the music, or sometimes they perform the music themselves, but that AI, that cartoon background is AI generated. Like, it's literally taken over the world. It'll get to a point where you'll hear a song on the radio, and unless they disclose it, you won't know that it was created by AI. Like when you see a campaign ad, they have to say authorized and paid for by, or this is so-and-so, I approve this message. The next hurdle when it comes to AI is how are we going to regulate it? Because there will be creative endeavors that exist in our society that you will think was created or curated by a person that was actually generated by a damn website. Like, I wasn't wearing any pants when I made that music. I made that music in my boxers, chilling. Ain't nothing wrong with it. And you guys know I put my pants on 2 legs at a time. Talked about that yesterday. Shout out to Derek Rose, he's a reporter over at our friends at WISN Channel 12. He got a kick out of how I put my pants on. So I know I'm not the only one. All right, here we go. New York University professor Scott Galloway appeared on The View, arguing that young men are experiencing a social crisis that is going unnoticed by most of society. So a little while ago, I broke down demographically who those men are, and they are Donald Trump's most loyal and faithful base. These are men that don't know what their purpose is in society. They're not protectors anymore. They're not providers anymore. A lot of them have never had a girlfriend before. They're certainly unmarried. They're either unemployed or underemployed. They're heavily depressed. Their kind of masculinity is now considered toxic. At the same time, women are making such monumental strides in American society. Women don't want those men. They have essentially passed them by. Women are more educated than us. The vast majority of the new college degrees at every single level that are going to be awarded are going to be awarded to women. And women may not want a man that has less education than her. It could be dramatically less education than her. I know, let me see here. Just an anecdote of just my social circle. I'm going to include Dr. Ken in my social circle just to make it seem a little bit more even. I know more women, like women that I am friends with, interact with, hang out with, etc., that have PhDs than men. And I'm including Dr. Ken. And Dr. Ken and I don't hang out. I know I could outdrink Dr. Ken. He doesn't look like he can hold his liquor. Dr. Ken would get real drunk and have flashbacks from being a cop. Get on the ground, Sherwin, freeze. Put your hands up. Get down on the ground. Doc, chill out. Doc's a good guy, and we disagree. I've gone on this show before. A couple times. Well, I was in the market hall. This place used to be fun. When we first moved here and all the restaurants started coming here and then the bar got built, I would bring, I'm done at noon. So if I wanted to show my friends the 3rd Street Market Hall, because I'm done at lunchtime, like, oh man, come to the market hall. And sometimes I'd come here and hang out for happy hour or whatever. So I was giving a tour to somebody. I don't know who I was with. But Dr. Ken's show was on. And I was at happy hour. I had a beverage or two, right? And I'm just showing whoever I was with that day. I took so many people through here. Because you can see our studio, you can see our newsroom, you can see TMJ, you can see ESPN, and you can see into the broadcast studio of The Truth. And Dr. Ken was on the air when I was giving my friend a tour. He waved me in. He said, come on in. Come on. And I'm pointing to my drink. I'm like, I have a cocktail. He's like, don't worry about that. Come on in. And I did a show. Apparently that's frowned upon. Yeah. Well, it's not like I got paid for it. I didn't punch in, but I wasn't sloppy drunk. I had a little happy hour buzz. And it was fine because I could tolerate Dr. Ken a lot better. You know what I mean? Because being on his show was tough. Because when you are, for those of you that may be a guest on a radio show, it's the host's show. Some people are guests and you try and over talk or over explain things. Nah, don't do that. Don't. And it's hard because Dr. Ken might say some outrageous stuff and I just got to let him say it because it's his show. All right now I'm going to take a break. Come back, continue our chat about men that are just being forgotten. And they're a problem because they are going to continue to vote for and support Donald Trump, his policies, and his malfeasance. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Here at the new 1017 The Truth, we aim to be a staple in Milwaukee's Black community. We are committed to partnering with local organizations and supporting Black-owned businesses. We are proud to call Milwaukee our city and promise to be a positive reflection of our community. We look forward to celebrating Black culture and excellence with you every day as we make history and continue to uplift the voices in our city. Join us for the journey at the new 1017 The Truth, founded by Gruber Law Offices. Milwaukee Black Talk.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design. Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
Hey everybody, it's Melanie Ricks. You all know I love supporting a local team. That's why I'm excited to tell you about UW Credit Union. They've been serving Wisconsin for over 90 years. And when I was in school, they helped me learn how to plan for my future and make my money grow. Even now, they're still always there for me when I have questions, and they'll be there for you too. So stop by any of their 13 Milwaukee area branches or visit uwcu.org to become a UW Credit Union member today, like me. Federally insured by NCUA.
Escape to the hidden gem of the Midwest, Chula Vista Resort. Relax with modern comforts and breathtaking views. Thrill into water parks and swing into championship golf. Savor diverse dining options. Book your summer retreat now. Call 1-800-388-4782 or visit chulavistaresort.com.
Dreaming of owning your first home? Milwaukee Habitat for Humanity can help make it happen.
With little to no down payment and average monthly mortgage payments of $950, you can build a brand new home you love without breaking the bank. And you won't do it alone. Habitat provides the coaching, education, and support to guide you every step of the way. Stop renting and invest in a new home you can truly call your own. Visit MilwaukeeHabitat.org to learn more.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
New York University professor Scott Galloway appeared on The View arguing that young men are experiencing a social crisis that is going unnoticed by most of society. Globally, he says, the cohort that has ascended the fastest is women. There are more women now seeking tertiary education globally than men. The number of women elected to parliaments around the world has doubled in the last 20 years. That's an enormous mark of our achievements globally. But in the United States, there is no cohort that has fallen faster, further than young men, Galloway, a professor of marketing at the NYU Stern School of Business, said. Men are four times more likely to kill themselves, 3 times more likely to be addicted to drugs and or alcohol, 12 times more likely to be incarcerated. And because of the advantage that he said he received as a white heterosexual male and his father received, they have lacked empathy for those very men. It is men in privilege that do not have empathy and sympathy for men that do not have it. And so what could potentially remedy this? Mentoring. You guys know that mentoring is big business. No, I'm serious. Big business. When young African-American boys have a mentor, a consistent mentor in their life, they are more likely to finish high school, go to college, get a job, have a stable relationship, and potentially get married, all from mentoring, okay? So imagine if that mentor is not there and that young African-American boy does not graduate from high school, gets involved in criminal activity, goes to jail. We're paying for their incarceration, and they very well could be a drain on society. So having mentor programs, paid mentor programs, saves the taxpayers, not just having to deal with the negative, crime element of that person that's unmentored, but we save money on their incarceration. Also, there's another benefit to people getting higher education. And I'm not going to have the argument with you because those of you that understand it, you do. Those of you that don't understand the benefits of higher education, you won't. And I'm not going to be the one to convince you otherwise. But someone with a bachelor's degree contributes $330,000 to $340,000 in taxes, more than someone that had just a high school diploma. So more people with bachelor's degree, it can be a bachelor's degree in anything, they contribute more money in taxes than someone that does not have that degree. So the number of people that we have that are more educated, and it goes up from there, someone with a master's degree, a PhD, they contribute over a lifetime hundreds of thousands of dollars, even more, paying into the system where we have more resources, where we can better take care of our society. The less educated people you have, not only do they contribute less in taxes, they're a drain on those tax resources. So someone that does not have an education that spent 20 years in prison may have cost the taxpayers several $100,000, if not several $1 million, as opposed to if we invest in that person, invest in their mentorship, they actually could be contributing meaningfully and gainfully to our society. So here's how it works. I'm going to give you a quick rundown. A level of government may have X amount of dollars. Now, all this stuff is probably going to get cut because Trump is president, because he'll consider this DEI related. But if we know that we can save a lot of money on incarceration and policing and public defenders and the whole court system by mentoring young black boys. We might save hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, especially if we can prevent them from committing crimes and property damage and going to prison, where we know their incarceration is $100,000 per year if they're a youth. A level of government will say, hey, if you have a mentoring program, we'll pay you between $90 and $120 per hour per mentor. Okay? The organization that has a mentoring program will receive between $90 and $120 per hour. So if there is a mentor that in the course of a week mentors a child for 10 hours, that organization gets between $900 and $1,200. So here's what the organization does, because remember, the organization is being paid by mentor per hour between $90 and $120. They'll then pay that man that's mentoring that child like $30 an hour. So the organization is still getting $60 to $90 per hour, and the mentor is getting $30 per hour. And it seems like it's a lot of money. It is, but it actually saves us taxpayer dollars in the long run, because that child being mentored and having that mentor be paid is way more cost effective than if that child doesn't have that mentor and they commit crimes and go to juvenile detention. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for Hour 3.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
It started with a prediction.
Gonna go out there and play basketball and win.
And how many games?
6.
It became the culture.
Chance of Bucks in 6.
Being a Bucks fan means you live and breathe Bucks in 6. Brandon Jennings created the prophecy. Tune into Behind the Bucks, the story of Brandon Jennings on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and streaming wherever you get your podcasts.
That's for the culture.
It's Dr. Ken Harris, and you can watch me now live on YouTube every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m., and you can watch the best radio show in Wisconsin by going to 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Watch me explore the issues which are shaping our community while also having fun discussions, pop culture, current events, all kind of stuff going on right here on YouTube right now by subscribing to 1017 The Truth. Milwaukee Black Talk is now streaming live on YouTube.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance. Like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Carrie, where's Tori Lowe and Dr. Ken at? I'm trying to knock these commercials out.
How am I supposed to know, Sherwin?
Well, I'm about to do their parts because my impressions are on point anyway. This is Dr. Ken Harris from Truth in the Afternoon, and I want you to download the Truth app in the Google Play Store and Apple Store so you can never miss my show or any of the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Really, Kyle?
Sherwin, you are crazy.
Sherwin, your impression of me is horrible. Move. Give me my mic. I guess I'll just repeat what Sherwin said. Go to the Google Play Store or Apple Store to download the 1017 The Truth app today so you can take the home of Milwaukee Black Talk with you wherever you are.
Can't listen live? Download the new 1017 The Truth app on your smartphone today to catch up on all your favorite shows. Search 1017 The Truth on your Google Play Store or Apple App Store so you don't miss out on any of the action. You're listening to the new 1017 The Truth, founded in partnership with American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to hour 3 of The Truth with me, Sherwin Hughes. Started the show talking about the great people that interrupt and in some cases prevent violence from occurring. It's a bunch of organizations. I don't want to name one because if I miss one, somebody will get angry. But we need to be thankful of those people and those organizations, especially in a city like Milwaukee, where we know when the weather gets warmer, we tend to see more incidents of violence. And there are people that are on the streets right now talking to people and trying to mediate conflicts so they don't turn deadly. Those are appreciated people because they're doing things that a lot of us either can't do or won't do. And we need to thank them for the days in which nothing goes on, where it's boring, where nobody gets shot, and there's no major headline that any of our local news outlets can tout. The reason why I don't bring up the violence and the shootings on a daily basis is because we'll just drown in that and we'll feel very hopeless and very desperate. But at the same time, there are days in which there aren't any incidents of violence, and let's thank some of those people that are doing that tireless work to make sure that we all can live in peace, at least temporarily. The issue that I have is that they don't go upstream. They'll stop the shooting from happening at that moment. They may stop a 17-year-old kid from getting shot because they can interrupt an argument where one person is armed, but then the 17-year-old who didn't get shot in that altercation, that might be the one doing the next shooting the next weekend. So while these organizations are good, they're necessary, they are needed, and their funding needs to continue, even though Trump is going to cut a lot of it. And you will see and feel the difference when some of the funding for organizations like that Trump can call DEI, when that money is no longer there to have those people on the street, we're going to know about it. But I'm more concerned about how do we go upstream and how do we prevent people from getting so angry at one another that they're willing to either lose their life, take a life, or spend the rest of their life in prison. I'm much more concerned with that. But that's a longer, deeper conversation that deals with all sorts of things relating to family and this, that, and the other. So I do want to give those organizations their credit where it is due. During hour 2, I talked about the constituencies that are in the Democratic Party. And if you go to the Democratic Party's website, they'll talk about in detail the different constituencies that they help. Working class people, women, minorities, African Americans. And so if you add up all of those different constituencies, it's somewhere around 74 to 76% of the American population that the Democrats say that they are for. Well, that leaves 25% of the population that kind of slipped through the cracks, where the aim and goal of the Democratic Party misses them. And a lot of times these are men. They're unmarried men, they're unattached men, they're unemployed men. They don't know what their role is in society. They commit suicide at very, very high rates. They're not excelling in education. They're not getting higher education, and they're quite desperate. This is Donald Trump's audience. Donald Trump is able to speak to them in a way that the Democratic Party cannot. The Democratic Party, for all intents and purposes, it's a gay party, it's a woman's party, it's a black people's party. If you don't like any of those constituencies, and I hate to burst your bubble, but there are a number of people in this country that do not like any of those constituencies. Also the religiously unaffiliated, the atheists. Democrats are getting a larger and growing share of them as well. And so if you're a God-fearing, don't like black people, don't like gay people, think that women have too much rights in this country, then Donald Trump is for you. And they are so loyal to Donald Trump that they won't mention a word about his corruption because they are so sad and they are so desperate that if Donald Trump helps them, they will let him get away with whatever he wants and they will still be loyal and faithful to him. That is explaining a good portion of our politics right now. And unless the Democratic Party figures out with someone who is packaged better than Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders spoke to that cohort of white men. In fact, a white man that fits that prototype was when I worked at the previous 101.7 WRRD that was located on Brady Street. That radio station has long gone out of business, which is good because they were unserious and they sucked. But the previous incarnation of 101.7 that was owned by Resistance Radio when I was on Brady Street, my producer was actually, believe it or not, one of those men. Now, he was a little bit more progressive in his racial leanings, but he just was generally a bum. And he and I argued to no end because he saw the world as a lonely, drink too much, play video games in your mom's basement. But I didn't pick my producer back then. Now I have a hell of a lot more say-so on who my producer is. He used to get so mad at me because, of course, I'm talking about racial issues, and he was always one of those white guys like, well, what about white guys? Well, what about us? I'm like, I don't care about you. You're white. Go use your privilege. I didn't recognize him as one of those people, and he was a Bernie Sanders person, and it made no sense to me because Bernie Sanders was racially blind, but he spoke to that class of white men that Democrats ignored, but Donald Trump picked up. And that was my former producer. Yeah, he was an interesting guy. We didn't get along so well. I remember one time I was doing my show, and he used to get emotionally invested in my topics, which if you do radio, you'll find that that'll be an issue. Sometimes your producer has their thoughts and feelings on your topics. He got so mad at me. I don't know what I was talking about. Probably some racial stuff, blaming white people for the world's problems. I was a little more primitive in my racial proclivities back then than I am now. He literally walked out of the studio, walked out of the radio station. There was a cafe next door. He went and had breakfast. I couldn't stop talking. I couldn't take a commercial break. I couldn't answer any telephone calls. That's how mad he got at me. But then now I think about where he is now. So that was in 2018. He's probably a Trump voter now that I come to think of it. All right, let's talk to Al. You're on 101.7 The Truth.
Well, first of all, I want to say you can't put Mrs. Dash on Donkey Sugar Honey Iced Tea and say it's good fertilizer. It's going to be fertilizer no matter how much, Mrs. Dash, you put on that Sugar Honey Iced Tea. Also, a lot of them kind of men are dealing from white male loneliness. You know, and I know you talked about that. That's because they're not getting no hoochie coochie. And they spend majority of their mornings and nights masturbating with their hands in their stomachs smelling like a nut. And they spend the rest of their day mad at the world because they're not in that gym and they have no finesse and they're not trying to create their audience. So again, if they don't get no hoochie coochie, they're walking around with a lot of built up and blue balls.
But
another thing you brought up,
women, that's the problem though. Women don't want to sleep with them. Women are more selective now than they ever have been, especially women that don't want to have kids. They don't necessarily want to get married. They've got a great college degree, a great job, a great career. They're so selective that they're not going to sleep. There's nothing that those men can do to obtain what the modern woman sets as her standard.
Well, if that man, number one, learned how to create his audience and he gets in the gym, he will be able to get whatever he wants. But if you're walking around here funky with a 2-inch pecker and you're thinking like a caveman, you're not going to get nothing. You're going to pay for it the rest of your life.
That's okay. They should pay for it though. That's why sex work needs to be legitimized. But here's the other problem. A lot of them are on OnlyFans. They're the OnlyFans consumers, which I got my feelings on that too. Those are fake relationships.
And if they want their money and if they want to get in contact, you're going to have to build a bigger price. That is all free will. Number two, a lot of straight men who are mad with the LGBT, because I have heard I push the LGBT when I push nothing but love and sex. A lot of those straight men look horrible without their clothes, and nobody is hitting on that, and they have a lot of empty mattresses. So they're walking around because a lot of those people in the LGBT are having lots of orgasms and living their life, and they're sitting at home living by a book that was probably written by overweight men drinking human urine with a whole bunch of sugar cane. Number three, we need to start giving men more credit, because you have a lot of angry, jaded women who say, there's transgenders trying to take our men. Nobody can take your man. Your man did not want you. You were just a piece of ass. Get over it. And furthermore, sex cannot be confused with love. It is just an act. Just an act. Once you have that orgasm and once you bust that nut, it is done. Ain't nothing coming from it. Take a shower, dush, eat your two bananas, and go about your day and continue to live a better life. But here's the problem: nobody wants to work with the free will. Everybody want to point the finger. Them people in the LGBT. Sad case, a lot of their penises are bigger than a lot of them straight men. And a lot of them straight men always double down and go to them people in the LGBT. Them people living their life. But if these men would just create their audience, stop thinking like a caveman, you would be cool. But a lot of them want to think like a caveman. So if you think like a caveman, you're going to have a lot of lonely nights. And you're going to continue to be mad at the world. And your stomach is going to stay sticky just like your hands. But all this is free will. You want to change your life? Get in the gym, smile, get a facial, learn how to say hello, and maybe your life will be better. But if you are like some other people who are always worried about what somebody else is doing in their bedroom, your bed is going to continue to be empty. And even if that woman do get down and she got one foot in the grave, she still ain't going to give you none of them yams, and you still ain't going to be able to spray them ovaries. Continue to spray that belly, boo. And I want all of y'all to have a good day. And remember, you are a commodity. They know your terms and conditions and create your audience. I'm out.
I don't even know. He just goes far, then further. Then he'll pull it back and go far again. I don't know if a man who, you have to be taught how to engage with the opposite sex. It was like a rite of passage. It was something that happened. Like back in the day, we had OGs that we looked up to. Like they would tell us about, like your parents would tell you about women too. And I think I'm fortunate in that regard that my father instilled in me the right things to do. You know, I was in high school and I'm starting to pay more attention and, and going to dances. Like my father was there to help me out. Well, a lot of boys don't have fathers, and they also don't have OGs that they can look up to. So they're not learning about how to approach women, be with women, talk to women. That is a skill. Men, unless they're really, really super, super handsome, where they don't have to put in a lot of effort, but even women will tell you, super handsome guys sometimes still don't know how to talk. You got to have a mouthpiece on you. And another thing is a lot of women, a lot of single mamas, and I'm not coming down on single mamas, you're not raising your boys to be a good father and to be a good husband. You might be raising your boy to be your best friend or the king of your house or the only man that won't ever leave you. You aren't raising him to be wanted, loved, appreciated by another woman. Because sometimes these mamas don't want their sons to date because, she gonna take my baby away from me. That is the whole point of you raising him, so that he can be good for somebody else. So these boys, they're not learning. And then they are rejected thoroughly by women who are making monumental strides. And I don't blame the women. If you have a master's degree, you got a house, you got a car, you got a bank account, 401k, a 403b, you got a brokerage account, you're wearing red bottom shoes, you've got a Gucci purse, you got a Fendi belt. You don't want this dude that's underemployed, that's sad, and as Al said, is pleasuring himself at home. Feel sorry for those guys. Now, here's the other thing. We can ignore them and we can talk bad about them because I'll engage with you in that, especially when they support Donald Trump, but they're going to continue to do so. Daphne, I'm glad that you texted in what you texted. Daphne said, Trump is not helping that white male demographic either. They are not making any significant gains under Trump. Trump is taking care of himself and his family in the upper 1%. Daphne, to them, it doesn't matter. As long as Trump is harming the same people that cohort of white men hate, same thing. Same thing. As long as Donald Trump hates, because what will happen is that sad fella that's unloved, unwanted, drinks too much, probably does too many drugs, doesn't have a job, doesn't know what his place in society actually is, just kind of existing in a pit of loneliness. He blames black people for why he's in that situation. He blames affirmative action. That white guy that Donald Trump is catering to. When Donald Trump went on the podcast, and this is where we know the Harris campaign, they screwed up. When Donald Trump went on Joe Rogan's podcast for 3 hours, he won the election. And it didn't make any sense to us. Like, why would Donald Trump waste his time? Because that's all he needed to do. Because that cohort of men in this country, Joe Rogan is like their God. And Andrew Tate is their God. And Dave Portnoy is their God. Theo Vaughn, to a lesser extent, he's a part of the manosphere. But I don't like including him because he's really, really funny. He's an old Southern, poor white guy that had a whole bunch of poor friends that were also black. He's an interesting one. Because the Harris campaign, they agreed to do Joe Rogan, but they didn't do Joe Rogan on Joe Rogan's terms. Therefore, the interview did not take place. And so Joe Rogan, who is $100 million a year with his podcast, insane money. He's the dude. Whether you like him or not, he's the dude. In this industry, Joe Rogan is the dude. Joe Rogan said he extended the invitation to both candidates, both Trump and both Kamala Harris. But you would have to come to, I think his studio is in Austin now. You got to come to where he's at because he needs his people and his production facility, and Joe Rogan ain't moving for nobody, right? Trump was like, okay, I'll come. 3 hours, ask me whatever you want. And I watched probably about an hour of it until I got sick, but it was just an open format, and Trump was honest and forthcoming, and it seemed like Joe Rogan was taking a bit of a shining to Donald Trump. Because here's one thing about Trump. He has a particular kind of charisma with that type of white man. If you guys watch Bill Maher, he's a comedian. He's got a political talk show. Real Time with Bill Maher comes on HBO. Bill Maher, who I would call a classic liberal, but still has a bunch of racist overtones. Bill Maher, who Donald Trump has sued before, and of course Bill Maher has gone after Donald Trump for many, many years. I'm talking going back to the 80s. Bill Maher and Donald Trump have sparred. Bill Maher was invited to hang out with Donald Trump at the White House. No cameras, no media, just the two of them talking, and Trump gave him a tour of the White House, and I guess they had dinner. Bill Maher left that conversation with Donald Trump at the White House where he was invited. I think he was there for like 2 or 3 hours, actually liking Donald Trump and saying, you know what? He's not really who you think he is, everybody. There's something about Trump that most of us do not see. He's got a particular kind of charisma that white men in this country gravitate toward. Even a classic liberal like Bill Maher. Even though Bill Maher would consider himself a classic liberal, there are still things that white men in this country have in common. There's still things that they hate. Both Bill Maher, who's a liberal, and Donald Trump, who is, let's just say, a political opportunist. But to get back to your question, Daphne, it does not matter if Trump is helping that demographic of people. If black people are losing opportunities that we got through affirmative action and DEI, and if women are being punished because they're losing a fundamental health care right, that is all that demographic needs, because at least you are speaking to their concerns and addressing the people that demographic group blames for their downtrodden situation. Take a break. When I come back, got a little information I'd like to share with you on this crisis that men are in. And again, I'm not telling you to do anything, but they're going to continue to be a political problem for us until we figure out how we handle them. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Start jamming in the morning and get your daily drop of juice.
Juice gets you hydrated and started for your day. And that's what we plan to do from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Every single morning, we're going to be keeping you in the mix, talking about everything you care about all before 9 a.m.
So wipe that crust out your eyes and get ready for jamming with juice.
Turning your mornings into your favorite part of the day.
Get that steak breath out of here. Brush your teeth.
It's it, bro. Like, what? Catch Jammin' with Juice.
From 7 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Milwaukee.
What are some of the things that we need to really focus on to get our fair share of these opportunities, i.e. access to capital?
You know, it's very important to always think about building a strong business plan, understanding the financial parameters around what you're trying to accomplish, building great networks and great relationships so you can have partnerships in building out your dream. And then finding a good financial partner like Old National to help really orchestrate your vision of the organization. And then, as you know, DT, you wouldn't be where you're at because you're phenomenal, doing great work. And then you have to really have to go to work. If you have that dream, you have that vision, the business plan, the financial piece, then you have to really work at it and keep building.
Learn more about the Old National Bank Small Business Empowerment Loan by visiting oldnational.com/small business or contact a small business banker at Old National Bank.
Great impressions will exceed your expectations. Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
At Great Impressions Graphics and Printing, they've been proudly serving the community for over 26 years. From their location at the corner of 54th and Burleigh in Milwaukee, their dedication to quality and customer satisfaction has made them a trusted name in printing and design.
Great impressions.
Great Impressions offer a wide range of services, including banners, posters, yard signs, business cards, programs, and postcards. Plus, they specialize in custom apparel printing, perfect for family reunions, sports outings, business promotions, and more. For your next project, visit greatimpress.com. That's greatimpress.com. Great Impressions. They're here when you need them.
Great impressions, perceptions, everything.
Immerse yourself in a place where bold ideas are sought after, where all are encouraged to bring their personal flourish. Here, innovation is a way of life. In this city, the beat flows. Together, we're dancing to the rhythm. Forward. Now, it's your turn to grab hold of that energy, where you'll remember not just the meals, the celebrations, or the uncommon coast. What you'll remember is how we made you feel. Come experience Milwaukee, where fresh meets fearless every day.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our phone number is 833-212-1017. 833-212-1017. Xavier, you want to read that Lyndon Johnson quote?
If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, if you give him somebody to look down on, he'll empty his pockets for you.
He, Lyndon Baines Johnson, essentially credited Donald Trump. If these unwanted, unloved men who don't know what their role in society is, they are much more likely to have a low level of education, much more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. If you tell that man in his very sad and lonely and unwanted and unloved state that his problem are migrants and his problem are black people, he will support you in everything that you do. Is that not what's happening with Donald Trump? Here's the thing with my support for Barack Obama. It came with conditions. If Barack Obama was messing up or screwing up or was doing something that made him, his party, or me as a supporter of his look bad, I'd be the first one to criticize him. I would not have let Barack Obama get away with anything. If Barack Obama had a press conference, hello, I'm considering taking a jet from the country of Qatar. It's going to be a very nice jet. It's going to be a big, beautiful jet. I'm going to fly around on the jet that this country is going to give me. I'd have had a fit. The people that are supposed to be holding Donald Trump accountable are not, and that is the difference between us and them. One of many differences. Democrats are quick to criticize their own because we have aims, goals, and objectives, and we know what our society needs. And when Democrats stray away or if they go too deep on the side of special interests, we will call them back and we will call them out. The Republicans don't do that. They don't. They allow Donald Trump to get away with anything and everything because he gives people someone to look down on. And I noticed some of that in our community as well. I noticed a very heavy anti-immigrant sentiment in the black community because if you want to feel better about yourself, you guys can see this every single day on the internet with all the internet bullying that goes on. Just hurt somebody else, makes you feel better about yourself. Find someone that you believe is lower than you. And black folks, as far as America goes, on the totem pole, ain't nobody lower than us. The only people that are lower than us, I mean, historically, are people that don't have the benefit and the protection of citizenship. So we, as black folks, some of us, started jumping on a Trump bandwagon because guess what? You gave black people, especially black men, unloved, unwanted, uneducated black men, you gave them somebody to look down on. They look down on the gays, but they also look down on the immigrants and the migrants. And some black men, you guys heard it on my show and other shows, had the pure audacity to say that, you know, these migrants, these immigrants are coming over here and taking our job. You ain't got no job, man. Even if there wasn't no migrants here, you still wouldn't have no job. You think you're going to be a rapper. You're not going to be a rapper. Unless you use AI, but that's different. Let's talk to Lisa. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
I'm doing good, Sherwin. How are you?
I'm good. What's on your mind?
I love that, Al. I love you, Al. I love you. I'm clapping. You just can't hear me. But, I just realized, black men have basketballs. I love a basketball. And y'all black women know what I'm talking about, a basketball.
Wait a minute.
I realized that
what you mean they got a basketball?
Yeah, I love basketball. Black men that have stomachs. See, there's a difference between a basketball and a bowling ball. White guys have bowling balls.
Oh, good.
I just realized that. When a black man have a basketball, it'll be all nice and solid, and then you can see the bigger whacker. When a white man he don't have a basketball, he have a bowling ball. You think, the visualize just messed me up on that part. Because mine had a basketball, boy, you could take your stomach off and play, do some hoops, but you still see the whacker. Then that means, it's going to be a nice size of,
What?
But anyway.
Lisa, I can't believe that you're talking like this. Number one, because you're a good, religious, God-fearing woman, so that's the first reason why I can't believe why you're talking like this. Secondarily, you are body-shaming men, because if a man got on here and talked about the size of a woman's breast that he liked, women would have a problem with that. You can't body-shame men. I'm talking about this Peter Whacker.
Well, I could body-shame. Well, Trump has a bowling ball. See, Trump values his power with his penis.
What?
You never heard. Yep, you never hear women. Only the stripper that he talked about. She said he was very little. So, but you never hear the strippers talk about what size he is and how big he is because they paid, and they don't really want to embarrass him. And what's the truth is the truth. Trump, that's my Melania. If you ever see them out in public, when he try to grab her hand, she snatches away. Have you watch it? It has not failed. She only married by contract. She only married to just be married to him. Y'all, come on, let's be real. He said, Melania, you stay with me another 4 years. I'll make it what you want. I'll give you $200 million. You ain't, what's that boy named my son? So Trump values his power, what he can get. Now, UAE just offered him, I don't know if they're going to give it to him, a $400 million plane and his name to be put on all their buildings and also so much money, that Bitcoin stuff. But I thought a president couldn't accept gifts and stuff while, and with his business while he's in the White House. I thought he had to let that stuff go until he gets out the White House. So why is he receiving these so-called gifts? I don't understand that. They know he don't supposed to. See, Trump is all about himself. Now, the other part is about It doesn't have. He don't care about the United States. Come on now, y'all know he don't give a dang about the United States. But he's making sure his buddies, the one that put him in power, are taken care of. He's their yes man. So as long as Trump can build Trump name up, his dingo pecker is real big. He makes Melania feel good every 5 or 6 months.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. That was great.
You welcome. You have a good afternoon. Bye. Bye, Trump. See you later. I have lunch with Trump. He probably is a different person. He's a Gemini. He's a different person. I believe he's a cool dude. But again, he's doing what his constituents tell him to do. You do this, and he's okay. How much you gonna give me? We'll get put this in the contract. It got to build Trump's name up. That's a Gemini. Get what you gotta get. And get out. I love you.
All right.
See you guys later. Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, all right then. I'm gonna just. I need to do a little breathing exercises because I don't know. Once Lisa starts talking about intimacy like that, then the world clearly is shifting. From Newsweek, it's well known that President Donald Trump loves a Big Mac. During his first term, he famously served fast food at White House banquets. And during the 2024 campaign, he wore an apron and handed out fries at a McDonald's stop that was staged for cameras. As the Saudis work to impress Trump during his trip to Riyadh, they're focused on even the smallest of details, like his fondness for the Golden Arches, by setting up a custom-built mobile McDonald's truck designed to support the presidential visit and the throng of journalists in tow. So there's pictures of this. Let me tell you how insanely rich the Saudis are and how far they will go to appease, cater to, and kiss the John Brown hind parts of Donald Trump. They literally created an actual McDonald's in like a truck trailer where all of the things that are on the McDonald's menu are available to Donald Trump while he is visiting Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and there's a picture of it. They built this man a McDonald's inside of a tractor trailer where he can just go and order his McDonald's whenever he wants. Here's the thing about men like him. Men like me know men like him. We have worked with men like him. We have had to deal with men like him. We've gone into negotiations, and in worst case scenarios, we have gone into business with men like them. All you have to do is cater to their ego. It is the easiest way to manipulate those kinds of men. If you make them feel like they believe they are in their heads, they'll give you anything. Just like if you give a white man somebody to look down on, they'll pick their pockets for you. If you make Donald Trump feel superior, you can get whatever you want from him. The whole thing with the tariffs, and now I understand what he's doing with the tariffs. I'm going to put 147% tariffs on you. All you got to do, you guys, those of you that have been following this stuff, which you probably haven't, because when I get home, the first thing I do is I put on financial news to see what's going on in financial markets. Trump had no intentions of putting high tariffs on any of these other countries. But it fit into a political strategy where he could cater to that downtrodden, unemployed white man, and he could tell that person that, oh, I'm going to bring factory jobs back with the tariffs. It was all a lie. Trump will put 100% tariff on a country so that country comes, talks to him, caters to him, makes him feel good, bribes him, buys his little his meme coin that he has, or builds him a mobile McDonald's or give him a jet. And then what happens next? Donald Trump takes the tariffs off. And what happened with the stock market when Donald Trump said that they were going to renegotiate tariffs or they were removing the tariffs? The stock market went up. When he announces the tariffs, buy. When he meets with the leader of that country and then the tariffs are revised or they're taken away, sell. The transaction took place, and of course his insiders knew that this was happening. So right around the week of April 8th is when he first started playing with the tariffs, announcing these huge tariffs on random countries. I covered it on my program, right? Like 75 countries, 100% tariff here, 75% tariff here. And there was even like some island where there's no people. He put a tariff on that as well because it was all BS. The stock market tanked, meaning share prices of well-known and well-valued companies drop, meaning you could have bought those shares for cheap. And then as one by one, as these countries either caved or gave Donald Trump what he wanted, the tariffs were removed and the market was relieved and those stock prices all went up. And so he had assembled a group of, I don't know who these guys were, but he pointed to them. He's like, oh, you made $900 million. Oh, you're not angry about the tariffs. You made $250 million. Oh, you made almost $1 billion. He was laughing about it because that is how he played the game, to get his friends rich. I'm going to take a break, come back, talk about these poor young men that are in crisis. I'm going to quote from an article that appears on No Mercy, No Malice. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Ready to buy your first house, move into your forever home, or simply refinance? At Associated Bank, they've got you. With the right lending plan and guidance, you can achieve your dreams. Your financial goals are closer than you think, and Associated Bank is excited to help you reach them. Learn more at associatedbank.com/lending or ask a banker for details. Subject to credit approval, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Keep your business safe, secure, and spotless with the Omega Security Guard and Cleaning Team. Proudly located in Milwaukee and female-owned, Omega delivers professional security and tailored cleaning services to meet your needs. Whether it's event security or a custom cleaning plan, their dedicated team goes above and beyond to exceed your expectations. Because at Omega, they're not just your service provider, they're your partner in peace of mind. Contact Omega Security Guard today or online at omegasecurityguard.com. Omega Security Guard and Cleaning, protecting what matters most.
It's time for Truth Takes, a thought-provoking commentary on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Here is Carrie Mahone with her truth.
You know, sometimes the mundane isn't a burden, it's the beauty of living. I came to this conclusion after recently watching the movie Subservience on Netflix. It's a crazy film, y'all. I would suggest you check it out. But it's a story that explores our relationship with technology and how it's programmed to take our burdens away. This movie really got me thinking about how much we're wired to avoid struggle. We create tools and shortcuts to make life easier, whether it's robots, apps, or even outsourcing everyday tasks. But in the process, we risk forgetting the value of the little things we go through every day. Sure, folding laundry or grocery shopping might feel like chores. I literally dread cleaning up. But isn't there something grounding about them? Something that reminds us we're human. Life isn't just about the highlights or the easy parts. It's about the messy, repetitive, and sometimes inconvenient stuff too. Think about it. Who would you be if you didn't have to face the small frustrations that test your patience, or the routines that push you to show up for yourself or the people around you? The mundane moments, the ones we rush to escape, are often the ones that shape us. If life was nothing but convenience, where's the growth? Where's the grit that teaches us resilience? And most importantly, where's the appreciation for the moments that do take our breath away? So maybe the next time you find yourself annoyed by the daily grind and are on the brink of crashing out, you pause, you breathe, and remind yourself that the beauty of life isn't just in the big moments, but in every little thing that makes them possible.
This has been Truth Takes on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. Listen to Jammin' with Juice with Ben Jammin' and Carrie Mahone weekdays from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I did not make that song. That song is made by Jamiroquai. called Revolution 1993 off of their Emergency on Planet Earth album, an album in which MTV refused to play any of their videos because they thought the album at the time was too controversial because it talked about environmental issues and climate change. Wow, have we come a long way. Where MTV was not ready to deal with the fallout they would have gotten and the potential boycott of sponsors and advertisers if they played Jamiroquai, because Jamiroquai, which is like an acid jazz soul funk group from the UK, because they were concerned about the climate 30 plus years ago. And here we are in Milwaukee, where it snowed twice. And it was, what's today? Wednesday? It was 80 degrees on Monday. Yeah. We don't really get bad winters anymore, because I'm going to tell you what, this whole climate change thing is going to work out very well for those of us in the Midwest. For everybody else, though, yeah, it's going to suck. Oh, and the Trump administration has cut funding to NOAA, National Oceanic Aeronautic. They do the storm predictions. How's that going to work out for Louisiana, Mississippi, and Florida when they've lost funding for the weather system that helps them predict and track hurricanes? I literally can't make this stuff up. That was a part of Doge. What'd you say, Xavier? Yeah, they have these jacks. He said Miami is expected to be underwater by 2060. They actually have an engineering project going on right now in Miami where they have these huge jacks where they're jacking up the street because the water, the ocean levels are rising and Miami is below sea level. So, yeah, that'll be fun for them. All right. America has a vision of itself as the land of opportunity with rights and liberty for everyone. This was written by Scott Galloway, who was a professor at New York University, who's trying to call attention to these men who are lonely and desperate and unemployed and unwanted, unloved, and unmarried, and they are causing a problem because they are Donald Trump's most loyal supporters. But for 250 years, we've been closing that gap at a greater pace than any other multicultural democracy. Lately, however, there's evidence we're losing ground. Life expectancy is going down, inequality is going up, and our discourse has become increasingly coarse. And he's being diplomatic when he says that. Every segment of society, except the wealthiest, can point to setbacks. One group's slide is particularly steep, and its decline presents a threat to the Commonwealth and our prosperity. Our young men are failing, and we are failing them. Boys start school less prepared than girls, and they're less likely to graduate from high school and attend or graduate from college. 1 in 7 men reports having no friends. And 3 of every 4 deaths of despair in America, suicides and drug overdoses, are men. Alienation and disaffection drive despair and violence. By age 27, high school dropouts are 4 times more likely to be arrested, fired by an employer, on government aid, or addicted to drugs than their peers who did graduate from high school. We as Americans face declining household formation, reduced birth rates, and slowing economic growth just as baby boomers enter decades of non-productive retirement. It also needs to be said that the current generation of baby boomers are the wealthiest generation of Americans or of any generation that has ever walked the earth. Their combined wealth is in the trillions. When they die, whenever that is, because they clearly are living forever, because for them, life expectancy is going up. For subsequent generations, it's going down. It will be the single largest wealth transfer in global history. They have the 401ks and the brokerage accounts and the stock market accounts, and they have the timeshares and the vacation homes, and a lot of the houses they do have are paid for, and they ain't selling. The lack of an open dialogue about these issues has created a void filled by voices espousing thinly veiled misogyny, demonization of vulnerable groups, and a vision for masculinity that wants to take non-whites and women back to the 50s and old Spain, respectively. The good news is the dialogue has become much more productive recently. There's a growing recognition of the size and severity of the challenges facing young men, and we can now turn our focus to solutions. And there are people that, the thing of a 27 to 35-year-old white guy, doesn't have any friends, unemployed, didn't graduate from high school, a virgin, never been on a date, women don't like him, right? He's a Trump supporter. He participates in the manosphere. I think somebody in the YouTube chat named a bunch of other podcasters that are also a part of the manosphere, you know, supporting this toxic masculinity that those men subscribe to. A lot of people hear about the description of that particular white guy and say, yeah, good, let him suffer. That's what he gets. That's what he gets for being a misogynist and a racist. And if that's what your attitude is toward that person, fair enough. But then don't get upset when somebody says these migrants aren't human, they should go to these prisons forever, and that black people need to go back to Africa. Because we engage in the same kind of mean and evil banter that they do. I don't know what it's going to take to get all of us to see that everybody is struggling. And there's only one group of people that's winning and all of us struggling. And I don't know what it's going to take. It ain't going to be the Democrats because, you know, that's the party of the blacks and the gays and the atheists. It's probably going to have to be one of us. So if the Democrats have any kind of hope whatsoever, they're going to have to make some really uncomfortable decisions. They may have to sacrifice a constituency or two to gain one that they lost. And that's going to be very uncomfortable. But as long as we see what the 10,000-foot view is, we have to give any candidate who is running for the Democratic nomination more flexibility to speak to a constituency that we may not necessarily agree with. Because there are gays that hate black people, but at the end of the day, the gays and the black people are still going to support the Democrats. They may not like each other. See, here's the thing. Constituencies don't always have to like each other. There might be a black woman who hates suburban, college-educated white women from Waukesha, but they will vote for the same person because they both want reproductive freedom. We have to leave room in the tent for people that we may disagree with on 72% of the issues. But if we can get their vote and their support on the other 28%, then we all can benefit. But I think that's the fallacy. All these constituencies don't like each other. Hell, the L, the G's, the B's, and the T's, and the Q's, and the pluses, they don't even all like each other. Talk to an old school, an old gay, back when it was dangerous to be gay. Talk to like a 70-year-old gay and ask them how they feel about the trans people. They are worse to trans people than heteronormative people are to trans people because they think the trans people are hijacking their movement that they suffered and sacrificed for. Because a long time ago, if you were gay, it was real bad. So it wasn't good. Now, you have like television shows and you get Oscars and Tony Awards. But a long time ago, if you were gay, it was like, ooh, you're bad. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
It started with a prediction.
Go out there and play basketball and win. And how many games? 6.
It became the culture.
Chance of Bucks in 6.
Being a Bucks fan means you live and breathe Bucks in 6. Brandon Jennings created the prophecy. Tune into Behind the Bucks, the story of Brandon Jennings on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and streaming wherever you get your podcasts.
That's for the culture.
The Empowerment Small Business Loan Program, we're talking about up to $5 million, which for small business owners, we need that. That's like payroll, that's resources. So can you just let us know what is the program and why is this lending program so important to Old National Bank?
Years ago, our CEO, Jim Ryan, this program is his brainchild. He was working with Roland Shelton, who you know, Denise, out of Evansville, and they identified that African-American business owners, Hispanic business owners, Native American business owners, as well as women business owners had a difficult time in obtaining financing from the traditional credit partners. And so we went out, created a program, launched it last year in 2023. And so far last year, we have helped over 100 successful minority and women-owned businesses with about $25 million in loans. We've already started this year with almost $8 million in approvals, again, geared toward minority business owners and women business owners that normally had difficulties in obtaining traditional credit finance.
Ready for more fun? More friendships? More adventures?
Then it's time to become a Girl Scout. Explore the outdoors, meet forever friends, and make a difference in your community. Sign up for our extended year membership today. Girls can join for $98 and adults for $42. Start in April and enjoy up to 5 extra months of fun. The extended year membership is April 1st, 2025 to September 30th, 2026, followed by a regular membership year. So what are you waiting for? Join us and be a Girl Scout.
Escape to paradise this summer at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. Spacious accommodations, perfect for families or romantic getaways. Voted top 10 best water parks in the U.S., championship golf, the longest zip line in the area, and the #1 steakhouse in Wisconsin. Book a Chula Vista Resort all-inclusive package now at 1-800-388-4782 or visit chulavistaresort.com. Your summer paradise awaits.
Life's better with American Family Insurance. Because whether it's a family road trip in your dream car or hosting a family reunion in your dream home, we help you feel protected so you can enjoy those dreams with peace of mind. Save up to 23% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
This song was made with AI. Album dropping soon. I assure you, on my album, I'll drop a country album. I can make a country album this weekend. I think I might. Because AI lets you make music with just prompts in any genre you can think of. You can make up a musical genre. It's insane. At some point, by the end of the year, because I'm going to set a long-term goal for myself, all the music that you're going to hear on my show is going to be music that I created through artificial intelligence. Give me to the end of the year. Because I'm going to need a big library of music. But I'm going to set that long-term goal for myself. Also, another long-term goal I'm going to set for myself is to continue to be a student of history. So I'm fascinated by the 1960s. Just everything that took place in that era, beginning with a level of violence that we really haven't seen since then. Like, the violence now has been democratized. Like, we're violent amongst one another. Like, don't let a bunch of people go to a Popeye's chicken and they run out of spicy, then you'll have people fighting in the Popeyes, right? But imagining being around when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and the 60s were just like pleasant and genteel, and women wore pearls and they stayed home and took care of the children, and dad went to work. Now, yeah, of course, we had civil rights struggles, but for the most part, if you were a middle-class post-World War II family, things were just beautiful. You didn't have all of the violence and the shootings and the stabbings that you see now, but that was a decade that would be and would serve as a harbinger of what's to come. So we have social unrest now. Remember the George Floyd protests? just as bad, if not worse, as the Vietnam War protests. We have government corruption right now. You know what one of the most corrupt things our government did? And so as we're moving through these unusual times that seem to be a first for all of us, this is essentially a repeat. We had to figure out how we were going to continue to expand the middle class back in the 1960s, late 60s, early 70s. We're also figuring out how we're going to bring manufacturing back to this day, and there are people that are being left behind economically. So some of the problems we have right now, we had in a previous decade. But when I look at government corruption, while it is bad now, in the Vietnam War era, I might say it's worse. Let me tell you why I think, and you brought up Lyndon Johnson, Xavier. That's why I'm reminded of this. So the 1960s is probably one of the most tumultuous decades. It's ironic because Robert Kennedy, who was about to get the Democratic nomination in 1968, he was assassinated. Now his son is an insane Health and Human Services secretary that just went swimming in a contaminated river in Washington, D.C. Go look it up. There's a river that is so contaminated and so polluted with human fecal matter that the Washington, D.C. Park Service has closed this river, closed this stream. Robert Kennedy was seen with his grandchildren swimming in this river yesterday, and they posted pictures on the internet. This guy's insane. He's nuts. There's fecal matter in this river, and he was swimming with his grandchildren in it. And it was weird because he wasn't wearing a shirt, but he was wearing blue jeans. Yeah, it's nuts. So his dad gets assassinated. Martin Luther King gets assassinated. Malcolm X gets assassinated. I think that we are 60 years pretty close to the day, the anniversary of when Malcolm X was assassinated. So we did have violence. We had political violence in this country in the 60s. We had political violence on January 6, 2021. None of this is new. But here, in my opinion, of all the things that may have happened in America with our government being corrupt, and we have been involved in a lot of corrupt things, I would say supporting the vestige and the institution of chattel slavery, that's corrupt too. A guy named George Ball, who was an undersecretary of state for Lyndon Johnson, Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson, said in 1965, the Vietnam War was unwinnable. There was no way we were going to win. It was impossible. It would be a quagmire that would lead to an American disaster. When this man in the Johnson administration said the Vietnam War was unwinnable, for the next 9 years, we sent 550,000 more American troops to a war that we knew was unwinnable in 1965. The last troops didn't come home until 1975. That's government corruption. Thank you for listening. Truth to Power with Kyle Wallace is up next.
Here at the new 1017 The Truth, we aim to be a staple in Milwaukee's Black community. We are committed to partnering with local organizations and supporting Black-owned businesses. We are